TSF Entertainment.
Welcome back to the TSF Entertainment channel. It is Retro CG in the building on this good Sunday evening. And man, we got a special treat for you guys today, a special show. We are here to talk about Power Book 3, Raising Kanan, Season 4. We are doing a season discussion, and we got a power panel put together for us tonight. We're going to go ahead and start bringing them up one by one. Jack, you're going to help me out with the introductions. In the building tonight, we got DJ Fresh Your Highness and Jack of Jordans, as always.
Yo, what's good?
What's good?
All right, Jack, you're going to help me out with these introductions. Let me go ahead and bring these folks up.
Dive right into it, man. First up, representing the Power Universe with insight and authority, we got Mr. Power Universe in the building. What's going on?
What's good? Welcome in, Mr. Power Universe in the building.
Tap in.
Thank you for having me, man.
Not a problem. Jack, who else we got next?
Joining us from the Fish Flicks Reviews channel, welcome Quiston, bringing his signature style and sharp takes.
Welcome, y'all. Welcome, man. Thanks for having me along, man. I'm glad to be here.
For sure.
Welcome into the family.
Appreciate
Jack, who
you.
else we got next?
Next, we got Dynamic Duo from the Culture Garden. We got your podcast. Please welcome Kyron and Rachel.
Hey, welcome in, guys.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Thanks for having us.
No,
Honored
thanks for
to be
being
here.
here.
No staff.
Appreciate y'all.
Jack, we got anybody else?
And last but definitely not least, from movies, music, sports, life, a voice you know and respect, Jay Spro. He's here with us tonight.
What's up, man? Power never ends.
Power never ends, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate y'all having me, man. Let's have a great show.
Man, we gonna do that.
For sure.
Absolutely.
And last, that don't need no introduction, the best chat on YouTube, y'all. What's up, fam? How y'all doing? Welcome in. All right, guys. Y'all know what we're here for. And for those of you who are Kanan lovers, you ain't gonna have a good time over here with us. I'm just gonna warn you right now. Those of you who are Kanan lovers, y'all not gonna DeMarcus, y'all not gonna have a good time over here.
So it's
All
about
right,
to be
y'all.
plenty Kanan slander, I take it.
Man, listen. It's a free for all too. Oh man.
So it's Team Rock this way.
It's Team Rock over here.
Period.
Period. All right, so let me see. I put together a few questions, but I really was going to make this thing really just kind of a free for all. But I guess the first question I want to ask everyone, in no particular order either, but what were your thoughts overall for the season?
For me, it's cool if I go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So for me, I honestly feel with season 4, I feel like the first half, it was a bit choppy It was choppy because they was trying to fill in some gaps, justify Unique being alive in the season. So you really felt like that first half, they were really trying to connect the dots, and it really felt a bit clunky. But the second half, it definitely picked up to a great deal to where I enjoyed the season for the most part. It didn't necessarily end on a satisfying note because there was no true like resolutions to the season at all. Like I feel like it more so felt like it was more of just a cliffhanger setup for season 5. And that's kind of what this whole season in a way felt like to me. So for me, I enjoyed it. It is the weakest of the 4 seasons so far, but I feel like it's going to pave the way for an even better season 5. So that's just me.
That's a great thought. Great thought right there. Who's next?
I'll jump in. I enjoyed this season. I actually didn't think the first part was clunky. I really liked how they introed the season with what you think you saw is not actually what happened. And I think that they did a good job of weaving it that throughout the episodes, throughout the rest of the season. We know that this is the penultimate season of Raising Kanan, and I do agree that they did do a good job of preparing us for season 5 of that. I agree. I didn't love the ending either, but I think that we're in a good place to set us up for season 5 and the final season of Raising Kanan.
Okay. That's what's up, Ray. That's what's up. All right, got a $5 super chat from DeMarcus. Rock was dressed like Janet Jackson in Rhythm Nation, and all she wanted was control. Breeze was dressed like Montel Jordan. This is how we do it. Oh, that's funny, DeMarcus. Who's next?
I will say this. I enjoyed season 4. I'm interested when all things said are done as far as where this stacks up as far as like the whole universe as far as seasons. I think they did great storytelling and character development is something they really focused on a lot. I'll say this. The first part of this season should have went bad. Everything with Unique and bringing him back and the way they introduced it, him banging his head, the whole nine, it should have fell off. This should have been like the downside of what we saw, and they miraculously turned it around, made it all make sense. And like I said, a lot of character development. Marvin, who I think is my favorite character outside of Rock, because I think he represents the normal person. There's a lot more Marvins than Rocks. There's a humanity to him. And they did that with Lou and everybody else. Be Real is somebody that I thought was going to be a waste of a character and ended up being someone that made sense. So I like how they tied it together. As soon as it ended, I'm like, there's got to be the last season coming up because there's no way you leave it on a cliffhanger like that. But great work in the Power world.
Team Be Real. We'll get to him. All right, Rich, I feel you on that. Who's next?
I'll jump in. I would say, I'm hoping y'all agree with me on this. I think Patina Miller did a masterclass. Like, of all the seasons of Raising Kanan we've seen, I feel like this was her best acting. I felt like she carried the show. Point. I don't know if it's just me. It felt like everybody else was underdeveloped. Like, this season felt like the Rock and Marvin show. You know, Marvin was blasting everybody. He had like a quota, like, I got to drop at least 3 bodies every episode. And there was so much development with Rock, but I felt like Kanan is underutilized. It felt like they kind of just put Lou to the side for most of the season. You know, I mean, you know, obviously producing for, you know, Be Real a little bit, but he really didn't start having any real impact until like the last 2 episodes of the show. So I think for the final season, they really got to give us something like they used to when the show first started, where they give us development with everybody, and to say nothing of how they handle Famous. I know all y'all think that was just terrible.
That was
the way they handle Famous.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
he deserved better than that because we really liked him as a character.
Fish Flicks don't think that. He's like, nope.
All right, Mr. Power, what's your take?
Man, I agree with a lot of the stuff he just said. I thought it was a solid season, but there was a lot of stuff that just kind of left us having questions. And we ended the season still having questions. I really hope Kane didn't kill my baby mama Rock, because we're gonna have some problems. We're gonna have some real problems. I'm ready to get my guys and we're gonna ride out. Yes, sir. But I'm excited for season 5, so we gotta wait and see.
You hear that, right, DeMarcus? You hear that? We ride for Rock. Tell me. All right, fellas, which one of you want to go first?
I'll jump in. Just want to piggyback off the character development. I think one character we did see kind of develop into her own was Juke. You know, to be honest, we kind of see some of where she started to turn dark. Now, I ain't agree with her theory and how she jumped on Rock either, you know, but she was looking out for Kanan. But I think her development in the way that her character was coming around and showing that other side of it from the army, from her first person situated, you know, even developing more to her relationship with Marvin, I thought it was pretty dope. Overall, I thought it was pretty dope season 4. I didn't really like the whole Unique angle that they took, only because they started off with him being the German Shepherd that's supposed to be running loose and biting people, you know, to just him being plain old Unique who got hurt by Rock, you know. And I just was like, why even introduce that to us if that's not what y'all gonna give us? Y'all gonna give us the Two-Face, you know, Harvey Dent. They don't even introduce that to us. But overall, I think it was a solid season and just setting us up a good season 5.
Fresh, you want to go ahead and jump on?
Nah, because everybody gonna stone me.
All right, then I'll go and you can go last then. You know,
For real. Nah, this
I give no fuck. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say and how I'm gonna say it.
So for me, it was very, very underwhelming. It started off like it would to me. It was like a roller coaster. It started off like, okay, we're going up, and then it just dropped and never went back up. It was just it was so many plots, so many stories that were still left that we never got to finish them. It was just like, to me, like when you go back and watch the whole season, it was like they was trying to rush and put everything into this one whole season to build up the ending for Breeze. It was like we just never, like the whole thing, like Jay Sproul was saying, the whole thing with like Famous, we don't know. Well, I know why he did, but we still never got the full official backstory of why Snaps and Pops took him out. We never even really got a story as to why Pop took out Crystal. Of course, we had to leave it to guessing. Like Jack was saying, along with 1 minute we saw with Unique, he banging his head, he crazy. Then another minute he cool, and early Tyler. It was just so much stuff that could have been written better. It was just like they were just, in my opinion, it was just rushed to hurry up so that we can get to the last episode, so that we can finally meet Breeze that everybody's been talking about for the last 10 years. To me, that's all it was. It was just like, let's just hurry up and rush all this through so we can meet Breeze.
So for me, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but Raising Kanan is our favorite out of all the Power installments. We 80s babies over here, so we grew up in that time. And so we really enjoy the writing on Raising Kanan as opposed to some of the other spinoffs. They were kind of a little bit, all over the place, a little far-fetched. I think this season was probably the most underwhelming season that we've had of Raising Kanan. I feel like it's a build-up for season 5. That's not to say that it wasn't a good season. It was a good season. I just, for once, I'm going to have to critique the writing a little bit. It was all over the place, because if you was going to start this whole narrative of bringing Unique back, and I understood Joey Badass kind of wanted to come back to the character, and because of the fan response of Joey Badass being taken out the way he was, we the fans wanted Unique back, but we wanted our version of Unique back, not this version that they gave us. They started out with Unique being in this mental imbalance, with his traumatic brain injury. So we got that part. We understood that part. That would have been a more interesting element if they would have stayed with that. But we started out with him crashing out and having these blackouts, and then it just kind of went away, and it just kind of went to him being a jealous baby daddy, so to speak. I didn't really like what they did with Unique's character, because I felt like what we ended up with was season 1 version of Unique. And we're past that point. From season 1 to season 4, we're past that version of Unique and Rock having conflict. And I can't understand how he remembers everything else so vividly, but he doesn't remember the fact that Ronnie had conflict with Rock. He doesn't remember the fact that Rock was out of the game. He doesn't remember the fact that him and Ronnie had a contentious relationship. So all this anger directed towards Rock is misplaced. Kanan, we've seen this version of Kanan since season 1. Like, I'm ready for that to kind of resolve itself. Him blaming Rock for everything and not taking any accountability for any of his own decision making. That was irritating. Jukebox, I feel like they've developed her character the most out of everyone in season 4. To your point, Jay, Rock is just doing Rock thing. I think Rock is much like our ghost of Raising Kanan. She carries the show.
Yeah.
Her storyline, her interactions with the other characters carries the story, carries the narrative. So all the other nuances are kind of centered around Rock storyline in itself. But this season, where everyone is blaming Rock for everything, like, yo, come on now, for real. We've seen this, been here, done that. Overall, I think it was a good season. Did not like how it ended at all. All right. I got a $2 super chat from DeMarcus. Which death was worse, Anna or Crystal?
Oh, easily Anya.
I'm going to say Crystal.
Yeah, because it's like, we know, like, we have to assume why she took out Crystal. We never really got a real reason as to why she took out Crystal.
Oh, like, I know why. I can tell you that easily. I think it's very obvious why she took out Crystal. She took out Crystal was because she couldn't let her live. They couldn't let Crystal go and Crystal not go back and tell Kanan what happened.
That's true. I didn't think of it
Yeah.
from that scenario.
Yeah.
I just looked at it like as soon as she heard the word rock, she was just like, "Oh, okay, bow." And I was,
Let's go. Right.
I was like, "Well, damn!" Like she ain't say nothing about y'all business. She didn't know nothing. So yeah,
I think, but Rock. I mean, not Rock. I think Crystal would put Kanan on high alert. So it wasn't my mother. It wasn't. And I think like after that, then he just would have. It would have been nice to see somebody slap some sense into Kanan, but that's definitely why she couldn't live for sure.
But since we're on the subject of Crystal, let's talk about her character development. They did a good job with
I
her
agree.
character.
I agree.
They did a good job with her character development because y'all know that we wasn't feeling her. Y'all know that we wasn't feeling her because of how she did Juke over there at Butter.
Right.
Y'all know that she could get them hands, but they really actually brought her character to a point where we actually liked her. And we actually kind of mourned her death a little bit when they dropped her. What did y'all think about Crystal's and her character development?
I'll jump in. I totally agree. Could not stand Crystal, and it was clear why she had to die. But for me, if Pop would have handled this better, she didn't have to be the one to rescue Crystal from the dungeon. You know what I'm saying? We would have never known that the police officers who kidnapped her were on Snap and Pop's payroll. So she didn't have to be the one. She did that because she herself is cruel. You know what I'm saying? But I hated Crystal. So I was very mad at Kanan for getting with her, the Aisha of it all. I was pissed, and for how she played Juke, and for Kanan and Juke to be so close. The fact that, again, Kanan being young and dumb, you allowed a chick who played in your cousin's face, your sister cousin, tried to get her beat the F up, stabbed up, and now this is your main chick. This is your bottom. Like, you love her down like this. It was really crazy to me. But she redeemed herself. I appreciated her as she moved throughout the season and how she was the only one, even when Juke was not, trying to speak to Kanan in a way in which that nobody else has the power to. And that is the touch of a woman who can say things to you that everybody else can't. We have your ear in a different kind of way.
For real.
I have to agree.
I'll say this. If y'all remember, when she came to Jukebox, she kept it so 100. She said, I knew right away that you had the best singing talent in the group and you were way better than me. And I had to do something because I'm trying to get out of my situation. But I apologize. So when you look at it from that standpoint, it's like you have to start liking her a little bit because she just said, man, I can't sing as good as you. And then if you notice, when Rock came to see her, Rock even told Kanan, he said, you got a good one right there. And Rock just don't like throw out compliments. Like she picked up something about Crystal that she said she is solid, and then when she said, hey man, you can't be serving the same place where you live at first he was like, well, what but then it was like, you know what? I think she's right. So she was proving herself to be valuable. So I just don't want to see you get blasted eating a peanut butter and jelly. Man, that pissed me off.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Everybody had great points. The one thing with Crystal is she did bring a different side of Kanan out, and I wish we got to dig into that a little bit more before she was going. And I think they were headed in that direction. They really were. And there's a lot of value that she just added overall because we were not supposed to like her, didn't like her, and then she ended up developing into who she was. But the one thing I think we missed out on was, to somebody's point earlier about Kanan just being underdeveloped and kind of still being in season one. There should have been a few more scenes of them together where he really entrusted her. To Rachel's point, if you chose her after what she did to Juke and played in Juke's face and everything else, I want to understand why. If that was my man's, I want to know, like, what do you see in her? Because didn't she play your cousin? What is it that draws you besides her being a pretty face and having some good advice? There's got to be some kind of human connection, almost to what Rock feels for Kanan. There's got to be some kind of pull in that direction that we can see. But we didn't get it. And it was unfortunate. And Snap and Pops really fumbled with that one.
Can I piggyback off of what Rich said just real quick? So when you were saying like how we didn't necessarily get enough development to see like that connection between Kanan and Crystal, that's kind of like my problem with episode 1 of the season, is because we went backwards back into season 3 instead of starting off in season 4, because season 4 didn't begin until episode 2. So if we would have started season 4 right from episode 1, I feel like we could have gotten a little bit more of that development of, like you said, of Kanan being able to entrust in Crystal more so than ever before. So because there's like that big chunk of time that we did not necessarily see. And it's probably became from the rewrites and everything that was going on. So that's why I'm like, maybe it could be something along those lines, but I do agree with you on that part in regards to like, maybe we should have gotten a little bit more development. But because we started off backwards, that's a whole episode that could have filled in a lot more gaps and story pieces for season 4 that could have been focused right then and there instead of us transferring back into season 3 to fill gaps. But that's just me.
Yeah. And real quick, I think we saw more. I think we saw Kanan care more for Davina than we did for Crystal, just from how he approached it. Now that might be because Kanan was still young, and this is a different Kanan we're looking at than then. But I just think that the way he was after Davina and liked her, I didn't see the same way. He was more so about his business, and she was along for the ride. When I say she, I mean Crystal. That's just my 2 cents. I want to hear what y'all think about that too.
Okay,
Well, I
jump
find
in.
that interesting. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Power. Go ahead.
Yeah, I find that interesting because I feel like Kanan's been developing though, and he's losing all of these people. So every time he loses somebody new, it's like, well, damn, I lost my girl, I lost this person, I lost my best friend. Crystal, in my opinion, was the last thing holding Kanan's humanity. Now that she's gone, that she had the most value. She was the one person keeping him from going against his mom. She was like, yo, your mom ain't do this, bro. You know, so it's a tough loss.
Rich, it's funny you should say that about Davina, because I went back and I started watching from season 1 again just to see if there was some different parallels with Kanan's character. I think a lot of Kanan, we know that Kanan had a thing for Davina since the first grade, right? And because she was with Buck 20, he was always chasing that, trying to get with her type situation. But I think that kind of evolved into grief at the same time, because he felt guilty about dropping Buck 20. So I think that was the whole situation. And then you got to look at her situation too. She was her mom was on that stuff. And then, she was trying to take care of her little sister, and then she got snatched up and put into the foster care. What I really am disappointed with is they did not tell us, or they did not show us how her mother passed. What I wanted to happen from that was Kanan's blue tops was the reason why Davina's mom got taken out. I wish they would have given us that, like I didn't know, because they just said that her mom passed away, but they never just said from what and how. We knew that her mom was a junkie, so you have to ask yourself this question: was it Kanan's blue tops that took Davina's mom out? But they wrote the character off; they didn't unalive the character, so there's a possibility that she could enter back into the Power universe. But I don't think there's a purpose for her anymore, because we know that Kanan ends up having a child with Jarita, which I wish Jarita's character would have been Crystal. And the fact that they didn't even touched on a little bit about the deletion of the child that they had or whatever. Crystal wanted to keep the child, and Kanan didn't. So kind of going back to Ray's point off camera, we were talking earlier about Kanan just being a horrible character or whatever the case may be. Like, he had a rider with him, and I don't think he realized that Crystal was his rider. He did not realize, but she gave him good advice that he ultimately followed, except for her advice about Rock. That everybody who tried to tell him anything indifferent about Rock went out of one ear. But everything else that she gave him advice on, he listened. She told him that you can't serve out of where you live, which I feel like he already knew that though, because Rock told him that when she was teaching him how to cook. She told him then that you can't serve. That's how Marvin got his bid in Elmira, because he was serving out of where he lived. Kanan knew this already. Why he chose to do that over there at that apartment, unbeknownst.
Because he wanted to prove to Rock that he was smarter than her.
Exactly.
Yep. I was about to be ready to say that. If I could just jump in and piggyback.
Go ahead, Jack.
Situation with Crystal character. I'm not even gonna lie. In our text messages offline, I was just like, all right, get rid of Crystal. You know what I'm saying? I'm over her. Let's be done with her. Like, please, somebody take her immediately. But then after a while, like, she started dropping little gems here, here and there. And I was like, Oh yeah, Krista was very serviceable, especially if Kanan is trying to develop his enterprise the way he's trying to develop it. And then when he got the apartment and everything, and she's just like, nah, you don't want to be doing this here or whatever. She was dropping gems to Kanan that Kanan was actually getting from his mom. But again, to the first point, he didn't want to listen to his mom. So after a while, I did start to like Crystal character, but unfortunately, she had to go because she knew nothing but knew too much.
Yep, I agree. For sure.
All right, for the panel, what are some of your key points for the season? What are some of the things that y'all feel like really didn't get developed in this season? Plot points, story, character arcs.
I mean, we already said it right from the get-go, the famous storyline.
Man, what?
Because
why did we spend so much time on famous?
That's why I said the season was underwhelming. We didn't find out what happened to Famous, although I kind of predicted it early on. But we didn't find out to what, like episode 5?
Right.
I think it was like episode 6.
Or
like
8.
episode 5 or
like
6.
Episode 7 or 8.
Like,
I think he was unalive.
Then
and then we had to wait to find out who unalived him. Right.
And was it just me, or was the writers being passive aggressive, like they was kind of taking shots at the actor? Because it just seemed like they wanted to send out the message that we really don't like you, actor, and whatever you did, whether you asked for more money or whatever you did, but it was like it was taken away from the show. It's because it's like you talking about him, but you're really not talking about him. So why are you bringing him up every episode if you really don't want to be bothered with him anymore? You could have just moved on, but it seemed like they was just trying to get their revenge and take some shots. And I think I saw an article that the actor said that 50 blocked him online or something too. So it definitely felt like they was being petty. And we as the watchers, we didn't deserve to be dragged through that little beef that they had.
They did him just like they did Amari Hardrick. They did him just like Ghost. They talked about him. They never showed him. Even that episode in book 2 where Tariq got locked up and he got a letter from Ghost and is read in Tariq's voice instead of Ghost's voice. When he got the call with Carrie, where she showed him the phone, your father's calling me. Like, yeah, I agree with you on that. Now, I've said this in every one of our reviews that we talked about. There were some things with the actor themselves in real life that I think that pushed the network to get rid of him the way that they did. Now, there's rumors out there saying that the actor was involved in an SA situation. And then there was rumors involved with the actor talking about drug and alcohol use. There's rumors out there about he wanting more money or whatever the case may be. But we know this from other installments of Power that whenever the network or Courtney Kemp or 50 has a problem with one of the actors on the show, they play in our face like this with the actor where they just write their character off and they write them off camera and they don't even let us see the actor or they reference the actor, but they don't bring the actual actor back to play the scenes.
Yep.
So you have to ask yourself, there was obviously some things going on behind the scenes with Antonio Ortiz, I believe his name is.
It is.
That you're right. They drug us all through that. Famous should have been wrapped up episode 2.
Yep.
We didn't even need that episode where his mama and Jessica and them in the shelter. No, we didn't need that.
Nope.
We didn't need any of that. If anything, they could have put that in that episode 1 where they gave us that episode, what you think you saw, you didn't know. By episode 2, Famous should have been wrapped up.
Yep.
Okay. So clearly I'm in the minority here. I knew, and Kyron, you can attest to this for your audience who's not a part of ours. I said Famous was dead episode 1 of season 4. And I held that all season. I agree. I didn't necessarily need a whole famous episode, so I didn't know a lot of the backstory or off-camera issues that you guys are speaking to, which now in hindsight make a little bit of sense for the way in which it was carried out. I agree that maybe instead of episode 5, we could have knocked that out in the play-by-play of episode 1 or 2, but I knew that he was dead. But I think that what the writers were attempting to do was carry on the famous story as a means to push Kanan's quote unquote issues with his mother to carry on the season to justify the final episode. Like, you have to have something, you know what I'm saying? It's not just now it's Crystal, but now it's Famous, my very best friend. Unlike D-Wiz, who I'm cool with, who he's mentioned more in this season than we've heard since D-Wiz was murdered. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it's very interesting, but I wasn't put off by Famous's death because I always thought he was dead by the end of season 3. He was essentially snitching as far as everybody else was concerned. Now, I did not think that Snap and Pop had anything to do with it. But again, it makes sense, but I just would have never suspected them. I thought it was Marvin, for real.
Everybody did.
I did too.
They hey, don't feel bad because they jumped on me when I said it was Snaps and Pops. Everybody said I was wrong. Everybody jumped on
You
me.
all know it was Marvin, not even gonna lie.
Everybody said I was crazy.
Everybody thought it was
I mean,
Marvin.
no, clearly.
I'm gonna be the first to say that I thought it was Marvin too.
Can I answer DeMarcus' question real quick? Will we be mad if it's 8 episodes? Look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself. We was pissed off with the 45-minute episodes.
We need 12 episodes is what we need.
For real.
No, 15.
Matt, let the baby good on the podcast with us.
You try to get that screen time.
Yeah, she's gonna get on here too. Mr. Powell, what you think about this whole situation with Famous? What was your thoughts?
Man, kind of like how Ray said, I knew he was dead before season even aired. Once they put out the trailer and was doing the promotion and stuff, I was like, where's the actor at? Why they got a poster with Stefano and Snaps and Pop and not Famous? He's the OG, you know, and we start to hear kind of these rumors that you guys speak of, and we know how stars be moving dirty sometimes. So I was like, hey, be out of here. And if you notice, like, he wasn't on the credits for any episode. So they using his name and likeness, he's not getting a dime off of it.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
he getting paid for
crazy how
nothing this
they-
season, right?
Nothing. And think about all the views and the controversy that he built up. A lot. That's a lot of money, bro. A lot.
Which goes back to Jay's point. I think that they were antagonizing the actor a little bit, so to speak, because we did not need Famous talked about in every single episode this season. He was literally talked about in every character. Even with Stefano name dropping him, Famous last words. They found every opportunity they could to acknowledge the character, but not acknowledge the actor. He was not credited. He was not shown. So you're right. I feel like that was some of those situations where they were kind of playing with the actor, like, yeah, you out of here or whatever, but we're gonna talk about your character. Your character lives on, but you don't.
My apologies, man. My daughter wanted some airtime.
That's all right. You should let her get on. All right.
Can I add about the Famous thing real quick? My problem with it at the end.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so my problem with the whole Famous storyline is that at the end of season 3, it seems like they were going in a totally different direction with the character because they had this man dead to rights. The moms turned in the gun. They ID'd Famous right there at the crime of the scene. It's like they literally had this man dead to rights. So it seemed like it was going to be a whole season like him doing like a trial battle or something along those lines. And then you come into season 4 and it's saying like, oh, he was giving them information on dirty cops. How the fuck would Famous get information on dirty cops? Like, it makes sense to me.
Right. Who was the informant on?
Yeah, like, they're all, right. We all know Famous was not about that life whatsoever.
Yeah.
So how would he know, like, oh yeah, these niggas over here, they dirty. Oh, you gotta watch out for them. Like, what?
Speaking of dirty cops, one of the things that I was really upset about, and I feel like they didn't need to, but they could have gone, was cop just gets dropped, and that's it. You have one press conference in the opening episode, and there's nothing else about Howard. You have this meeting between the chief and Garcia, they have to close this case before he retires, but you really don't get it except for Garcia harassing Drew. You introduced Burke's dad last season or whatever season that was. He's not going to fall into this to kind of see if Howard had anything to do with his partner. They suspected him of being dirty. It just seems like, and like I said, you don't need it for what they're trying to do. Because obviously, as we all mentioned, this is a build-up for the next season to finalize everything. But it's just really hard for me. You could have spent that famous time on maybe the investigation a little bit more or something like. I just can't believe that Howard gets dropped like that and that's it. Like everybody just move on with life. I just wanted a little bit more there.
Yeah. Especially who he was. So it's funny you can say that, Rich, because I was thinking the same thing. Like, I wanted Snap and Pop to have more questions about Howard than anything. Because remember when Rock showed up, when Ronnie and Kanan had staged the kidnapping, and Howard showed up with Rock and Marvin with the about the ransom. I wanted Snap and Pop to have more questions for Rock about why she brought Howard with her. Like, I agree with you. We should have spent a little bit more time on the whole Howard situation, especially when they showed us that scene with Captain Baptiste saying that I don't care what it takes, press on all your CIs out here, find out what happened to Howard. What I said in one of our reviews is what would have been a good story if they would have pinned that up on Unique. And it seemed like they were trying to go that direction a little bit. When Garcia rolled up on Unique, I expected him to pursue Unique a little more. At the end of season 4, I expected Unique to have gotten arrested for unaliving Howard and Arani. I wanted there to be a pin-up on Unique. But that is a very good point about Howard. Why show us that if y'all weren't going to spend any time with it? Much like Rock's pregnancy, that's the next thing I'm rolling into. Do y'all feel like we needed to see that? Do y'all feel like we got anything from that, Rock being with Unique's child? That was a great narrative that they should have spent a little time with, but they did nothing with us but showing us that Rock deleted child.
To be honest, I hope they spend a block on that, and it might be too little too late, but I hope they spend a block on that in the later seasons so it won't be all for nothing. Because if that's the point, then what is the purpose of even giving us the opportunity to see that she was pregnant by Unique? Like, is that going to be a conversation that they have later to some point, some extent, where they look at Snap and Pops and be like, all right, this was our connection, even though you're not, even though the deletion happened, this is maybe our bridge to come back together to form something to go against Snap and Pops, because we can obviously see that they're going to be like the villains of the next season. For both of them to deal with, to be honest. So maybe they will spend the block on it, but I think they did drop an opportunity they introduced it too soon, and they didn't carry out the whole storyline. But they did that with the whole show now, the whole season 4.
Yeah. I would say the situation with Unique and Rock gave us the best line of the whole season, and it was only 2 words. And this speaks to how good of an actress Patina Miller is. So, Rock, did you love him? I could have. Just 2 words. I could have. You know what I'm saying? She communicates so much with saying so little, and then we all fell for her in that moment because we know that she loves Symphony too. So the 2 people that she was involved with throughout this Raising Kanan process, like, she was really into both of them. And that gives us a balance for how cold-hearted and ruthless and street she can be. That she was vulnerable. So she was vulnerable to Symphony, and then it felt like she regretted being vulnerable with Unique because now he's coming at my head.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say you guys are so right. I think that the fetus deletus was a method to humanize Rock or Raquel, as I started referring to her, just to sort of soften that up. I do hope that they come back to it in the last season, if she's still with us, in fact. When Unique showed up in her kitchen to confront her, his appearance to her, she said, me and you had something. And so that speaks to the nature of the relationship that she thought they shared. And I thought Unique was fucking with her like that too, but maybe not. And maybe it's the traumatic brain injury that's got him tripping like this. But I hope that them showing us that was more than just showing that Rock is a woman who can produce.
Oh, yeah, you had your antennas on because I forgot all about that. I didn't even peep that for real, for real. I wasn't even paying no attention to that. I was just paying to the fact that he was in there eating some
ice cream,
butter pecan ice cream in her kitchen. That's all I was paying attention to. I didn't even peep that. That's
I think it's the common interest thing too, that brought them close together. It's kind of like he said in the beginning, y'all both meet at the water fountain and bump each other heads at work. So if you constantly meeting somebody at work, just I think it brings some type of realism to it. Hell, my wife is sneakerhead, so I'm a sneakerhead. It's kind of interesting. So it's just kind of like one of those things that we get to see a softer side of Rock. Even with Symphony, I don't think she was as soft on Symphony as she is with Unique, because they have like a similar understanding, and they could both speak a language that they both understand, a love language that only them two could possibly understand. So I just think by them being able to speak that love language, and by them showing us this in the beginning, even though they could have carried it a little bit on in this season, that we're gonna circle the block, and that's gonna bring them together somehow, some way.
But you know what? What they should have done, if they were going to bring Unique's character back, they should have expanded on his feelings for Rock, because we saw that when Early Tyler had picked him up, and Early Tyler had gassed his head up about Rock taking over his corners and everything. But when he was laying in the bed that night, he was saying all those corners are mine, but I still love her. So it's obvious that Unique's character, if you go back and watch season 1, they have flirtatious chemistry even in season 1. So I wish they would have expanded on, and they did a little bit, because when he took her lawyer out, Andre, when he took her lawyer out or whatever the case may be, he did that more so because he thought that he was fucking around with Rock or whatever the case may be. They didn't do what they needed to do with Unique's resurrection. If they were going to bring Unique's character back, they should have gave us something more than the at each other's throat situation, because he really, for no apparent reason, just developed this hatred for Rock, thinking that she put him down or she worked with Ronnie. Like, all that should have been resolved the episode when he pulled up on her at the house. She should have informed him then what had happened, when he got unalive, why she went over there and took over the corners. None of that was explained, and they should have given Rock that opportunity to explain it to Unique, rather than her just sitting there not saying nothing at all. When she said you and I had a thing, they should have unlocked all of those points for Unique to realize that, oh shit, Rock really did do this to me. So yeah, that was his wasted story.
Oh, CG, I agree totally. And also, not just Rock maybe having been able to say that clearer for him, I had nothing to do with your fake death, but
Right.
literally everybody who Unique encountered once he came to told him. Early said, I don't think she had nothing to do with it, I didn't hear from it. Phil said, I never heard the broad had anything to do with it. Everybody who he encountered told Unique he was not trying to hear it. And maybe again, that's bruised ego.
Exactly.
But he just was not listening. And then I want to touch, Xavier made a comment about Pop alluding to DEFCON not being Kanan's father, and she did. I believe Snap and Pop know that DEFCON was left-handed per Rock's language. Being that we found out this season that DEFCON worked for Snap and Pop, I think that they are going to use that, dare I say, against Kanan. I think that there's an outstanding debt, and that is why they're doing so much to get Kanan in their employ.
Damn, right? Talk that shit, right? Talk that shit, right? That is yo,
Detective Ray.
Right, she don't figure that shit out.
Let's go.
I like how she made that.
Mr. Power, what's your thoughts?
Man, I mean, it's crazy because I think that was one of the things that really soured this season for me, is this whole back and forth with Unique. Like, when you have a great actor like Joey Badass, you gotta write better for him. Like, you gotta put him in a position where he could deliver, and it's convincing. Like, even that whole initial scene with Rock was like, we're all like, bro, she didn't do this. And then he had the interaction with Kanan where he literally said, I took out Ronnie by myself and I would do it again. And he still didn't make that click in his head for him. So at that point, it just kind of made things kind of cheesy for me. I don't see what the beef is. Where's the war? Why do you want to go at her? You know she didn't do this. So I hope they kind of clean that up and they make up in season 5.
Yeah, because I like where they were going with the Unique and Rock storyline. I really like where they were going with that. And the fact that it ended the way it ended before it could even develop. And then they take us right back to season 1 version of Rock and Unique. Like even Rock didn't even try to clean the situation up. Like, yeah, I agree with you on that, Mr. Power. They need to clean that up quick, fast, and in a hurry. Season 5. I do not want us to go into season 5 with the same bullshit.
So this makes me want to ask everybody a question. Do y'all? Because the Marcus in the chat, he brought up something that I've been saying since the get-go of this season. Do y'all feel like this season would have fared had they not pivoted and rewrote everything to fit Unique back into this season? Because for me, that's currently how I'm feeling. And DeMarcus, he said it. Ronnie would have been a much better fit this season than Unique, because he would have made him being in the position that Unique is in would have made so much more sense all around for this story. And it feels like, you know, Sasha Penn, like, yo, I love what he did for the show, but it seems like he kind of favored bringing his friends back on board that wanted to be on board instead of sticking with the story that he had on hand originally. So that's just me. But what do y'all think?
That's what separates. That's what separates good to great TV series, right? That's the difference. Making those realistic decisions. There's no reason Unique is still alive, right? I said it in early season 4. Like, okay, when he's still alive, we knew that at the end of last season, but he should definitely die season 4. It just makes sense. The Unique story, I think, if they went in that direction, is finished. But they kept it going because they love the character so much. If you really want to push yourself to the fullest potential, tell the story and don't focus on the character. Ronnie would have been so much more intriguing to have this season. And everything that we're saying about Unique, it would all made sense had it been Ronnie. Everything that happened to Rock would have all made more sense if it was Ronnie the one doing it and not Unique. Especially when Unique, as Rachel just said, had everybody and their mom reminding her or telling him, hey, I ain't hear nothing about Rock doing that. And we hear everything in the streets. So 1,000% would have loved Ronnie. Yeah, Unique. Hopefully he gets his redemption in the final season, but the story would have been better if he was gone.
But they kind of did the same thing with Famous too. So Fish, I agree with you. I agree with exactly what you're saying. I feel like not only did they give us a remix with Unique storyline, but they did the same thing with Famous. So all that time wasted on Unique and Famous was like, is that really where the story needed to go? Because we could have spent a little bit more time in other areas that y'all kind of shortchanged us on versus spending all this time with Famous, spending all this time with Unique, and that took over the season. Those two story arcs right there took over the season. And then you added the dynamics to Miss Joyce, Rock's mama. We needed more out of that storyline than what we got. We needed more out of that storyline than what we got. Like, I was waiting for this whole big reveal as to why Rock had such. The rest of the kids had beef with her too. But Rock had venom towards her mama. Like, it was so much disdain and acrimony between those two characters, even when they were at the church back in, I don't know if that was season 1 or season 2. We needed to understand what caused that. They didn't spend enough time with that. Like, I wish we would have gotten a little bit more from that if they were going to show us that. Otherwise, they could have just ridden the mother's character off like they do any other characters, and not have spent so much time with the whole she's dying of cancer storyline.
I agree.
But CG, this goes back to what we were talking about early before the live started about how, once they get into a couple seasons, they get comfortable with the writing, right? They say, we want to tell this story, but then you bring Unique back because you like them and you're friends with them, obviously, and you have a relationship and you love the character. Doesn't that contradict the storytelling that you're trying to provide?
You know what? That's a good point, Mr. Power. And it's the same thing, kind of what they did over there in book 2 with Mary J. Blige character with Monet. Monet shouldn't have stayed around as long as she did. But I think because it's Joey Badass that's playing the character, it's fan service. So you want to keep his audience, his fan base watching the show. So it's easy for you to bring a character like him back. If Unique's character would have been played by anyone else other than Joey Badass, we wouldn't have got that. But because you didn't want to lose his viewership from his fan base, let's satisfy everyone and bring him back. So you're right about that.
And real quick, Booktooth Ghost had no true vision. That's what separates from
Man, we need to do a live about
no
that.
vision.
Yes, no vision at all.
I can say I still haven't seen the first season, so
don't get me started, please.
Don't even watch at this point. Don't even watch.
I haven't. I caught on. Retro can tell you. I jumped in at season 2. I never watched the first season, so I don't know what happened.
You don't need it. I wanted to ask CG in regards to Joyce. Do you have a sister? Do any of y'all have sisters?
I do.
And did she ever, without obviously being too anecdotal, did she ever beef with your mom?
Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
The mother-daughter dynamics can be so tricky, and so when you have a mother who essentially ain't shit, like what we learned from about Joyce from all of the children, it's easy to see why the relationship was so acrimonious. The saying goes, you raise your daughters but love your sons, which is why Marvin and Lou were not able to pull the plug on her, were able to have a different relationship with her than Rock. When you don't have a mother as a woman to nurture you, that's how you end up pregnant at whatever age, and then again by some grown man. You know what I'm saying? So it was understandable to me why their relationship was like that. But what I would have liked was more of a story, more stories of how she played in their faces, how she was abusive towards them, or emotionally or physically unavailable. I mean, she called Lulu soft. She called him a coward. You know what I'm saying? So we knew how she felt about him. And she wasn't wrong. You know, he too soft and Rock is too hard was what she said. But as a mother, she has to know that you're the reason that not the soul, but a key issue for why your children are like this.
Good points, Ray. Very good points. From a woman's perspective, I like it. That's it. And that helps my understanding a little bit for that storyline between them. I guess more so going to some of the points that you mentioned, that's what I wanted to see more of with that character. We spent this much time with the mama. We need to get a little. Same thing with Tasha's mama. We should have seen more with Tasha's mama too. Like same thing with Kate. We get the same repeat of these power mothers, but we never get any backstory on why they did the things that they did. What I wanted to see was how Rock ended up with Detective Howard. We needed to see that. They spent so much time on it, but they didn't give us the backstory of how they connected. And to your point, you know, her mom wasn't there. She was out trying to make a way on her own. So, you know, was Rock a finesse job to begin with? Was Rock really out here finessing? You know, kind of like how Monet was training Diana to finesse and scheme. Was that Rock's mission? Was she out here just finessing and scheming just to get over because, you know, she's out here on her own, so to speak? So those are very good points, Ray.
Maybe, which is how she ended up with DEFCON and close enough to him to realize that he was left-handed. And so now I can't really get nothing up out of you, but remember, Howard was undercover when he was fooling with them. So really ain't no telling what he was doing 15, 16 years ago while he was being a street nigga, probably in DEFCON's employ.
He was being Jay Reed.
Yeah, you been Jay Reed. It's too deep.
You ain't no cop, Jay Reed. You ain't no cop, Jay Reed.
But man, when you talk about the finessing and the manipulating, it just reminds me of Ghost. How much do you guys feel like they're really the same character in a way? Ghost was just the better parent, you know.
To be honest,
go ahead. No, go ahead, Damon.
To be honest, they regurgitated a lot of some of the aspect and bullet points from the original, the OG Power. You know, if we can look at it based off of what we see with Tariq and Kanan, based off of what we see to some of the points that was made here of the parenting with the moms, they regurgitated a lot of things when it came down to the OG Power. And leading off, we kind of said that Rock essentially became Ghost. She carries the show. She's the mastermind behind it. She's maybe not as good of a parent as Ghost is, but she's definitely the mastermind of it. I think we just see like a lot of scenes regurgitated. That's what further makes me think like if this is the end of Rock and we go into season 5, this is remind me of the way that we ended with Ghost. It's the exact regurgitation, and it's kind of like, nah, Rock deserves better. We deserves better. Like, so it's a lot of things that they just go over and over and over, rinse, wash, and repeat when it comes down to OG Power. And you can see in almost every power, from raising Kanan to even forcing some aspects, and into to Ghost and Power of Book 2.
I will tell you right now, if Rock is gone, I'm not watching the last season. So y'all won't see me. I'm dead serious. I'm not playing. Like, nah.
There's no way they get rid of Patina Miller. There's no way. I can't buy into the whole Rock story. There's no way.
I think so.
Okay,
If
so
I
me and
watch
Jay are the only two
episode
that feel
1,
like Rock is gone. Because I
she's
do.
gone.
I'm gonna tell you right now, she's gone.
I don't
Why
believe
do you think that though? Why do you think she's gone?
Okay. I got a breaking one on here for you. Okay, so there's a content creator by the name of Get It How I Live. Have y'all ever seen his stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, Get It How I Live. Now, I would just call Cap if he was just talking it, but somebody sent him the screenshots. So they are having dinner, and you can tell it's like a dream sequence because the room is completely black. The whole family's at the table. Rock is at the end of the table, Marv, Lou, jukebox, and then they got pictures like in frames of the family, and they all talking and laughing, but all the cast has on the same clothes that they had on the promo for season 4, but Rock has the same outfit she got shot in. And supposedly that's supposed to be a scene from episode 1 of season 5.
Okay.
I'm gonna be real, bro. I don't believe. I seen that photo. I don't buy that shit whatsoever, especially in this age of AI.
Okay.
I don't buy it at all.
Okay.
Bro, I refuse to believe Rock is dead because she is the star of the show. The whole grasp of this entire show is the relationship between a mother and her son. And I think, honestly, because at the end of the day, that's what she's just trying to do. She's just trying to support and provide for her son and her family at the end of the day, in the most craziest of ways, of course. I think, honestly, she's not dead because and I think me and Mr. Power, we talked about it, because I instantly thought of season 5 of the OG Power. Remember how when Tommy shot Angela, they vividly showed him shooting Angela, and then they cut to black? No, they just had the gun, Kanan point the gun at Rock, do a gunshot over black. I feel like if he would have shot her, we would have saw it. Even with Ghost, we didn't see him get shot, but we saw clearly he got shot and was falling over the ledge in the most melodramatic of ways. So, yeah, I don't think she's dead. I honestly think they're setting her up for a bit of a redemption arc to kind of sway away from it being the same old shit that we saw in the OG Power and everything. And I think it's going to end, the show is going to end with Rock leaving New York. That's my whole prediction.
Okay. So, Fish, do you think the interview then is BS that she did?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. They did the same shit with Joey Badass and Unique. He was talking about, I'm going on a tour or whatever. Come on now.
Exactly.
Come on.
I agree 100%.
And like, she never outright said like, I'm dead. She just was saying like, I'm appreciative of my time here. Whoopty whoopty woo. It was never no direct answer. If you read that.
The main reason why I don't think that she's gone is because there's an actual picture out there of her when they finish wrapping up season 5. What would be the purpose of her being at the set for the last episode of season 5?
I will say this: they could hit the okie doke. I know in Succession when they did the Logan Roy death, they still had him show up to set to make sure that the paparazzi, they didn't give it away. I doubt stars would go that deep, but I think she's still around. I'll agree with you.
Like I said, if she's gone episode 1, y'all can cancel me for the rest of the season because I ain't watching it.
Put it like this: do y'all think Mekhi Curtis can actually carry this show on his own for a final season?
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's not his fault either. That's the show's fault. That's not even his fault.
Okay,
I'll
CG, I need some backup. I don't want to be the only one that thinks she gone. Come on, man.
Nah, I'm just letting everybody else get
Because
their shit off
Hey,
real
he's
quick.
sitting there like-
Everybody get their shit off, and then I'm gonna go.
because another thing that I've said, I don't know if y'all saw the last live. Another thing that I said was, if she's gone, what's going to be the Thomas family story for next season? Because we can't count on Marvin, who's been making sloppy mistakes, to carry on to move the weight. What? So Marvin and Lou gonna be going up against Kanan? No one's gonna care about that. Juke, of course, like we've all saw season 5 trailer, we saw she's crying, but someone is consoling her. But it can't be Kanan, because why would she allow Kanan to console her after he unalived Rock? So it has to be somebody in the Thomas family to keep that storyline going, because Marvin nor Lou can keep running with Stefano. Like, that would be the stupidest thing for those two to run with Stefano, to go up against Unique, Kanan, and Snaps and Pops, along with Russo for the next season. It's just not going to make sense. It's just going to be stupid. So you got to have somebody with some brains in this whole situation.
Get in here, Ray. Is Rock dead or alive?
Okay. I am hopeful that Rock is alive. If we consider Power, when we meet Kanan, he says he's going to see his mother. And so since this whole shooting, prior to that, I just assumed Rock was alive. So then we get this shooting allegedly at the end of season 4. And so I've been toying with the idea of, is Kanan in the original Power going to see a living Rock or going to see Rock's grave? I don't know. I don't think she's dead. I don't want her to be dead, because again, who can carry the family? I don't care enough about Kanan and Breeze at this particular juncture for that to carry the season. Especially when we also know that the Tommy and Ghost prequel is also coming in the next year or so. So that's not going to be enough to keep me in season 5.
Yep.
We know that Stefano is knocking on death's door. What can he do? We haven't met anybody else other than Phil, who's actually not a part of the 5 families. He's a part of New Jersey. He's a distant, like the 6th or 7th family. So you're not that important enough in New York. So who, in fact, is it? Again, Marvin making sloppy moves. He cannot carry the family. Maybe Lou, this has been his redemption. The last 2 episodes, him realizing that he's just that much of a gangster, like it's in him, it's not on him. Okay, but again, everybody thinks you're pussy at this point, because you spent all of season 3 choking a bottle. Everybody knows that you've gotten soft. Well, I guess except for Kenyatta and Julius. You have this reputation that you once had. It's not the same. So what are you going to do? Spend this last season reminding everybody who you are? I don't know. It might be a little, not too little too late, but you almost there. Like, I just don't see it. If she's not here, I'm going to be pissed, because I'm sick of Kanan. We talked about that before. I know it's raising Kanan, but he still has a lot of fucking growing up to do. He's a child.
They're gonna.
Can I jump in while the water's warm?
Yes.
Yes. The water's warm. I stuck my big toe in. The water's
Go
warm.
ahead.
All right. So here's my take. My take is called Raising Kanan for a reason. The character that everybody so long for has now been introduced. No, I don't think that Rock is dead, is unalive. However, I do think that it is a possibility, and this is why. Is because it's called Raising Kanan, and we need to push the story a little bit further, going into the origin story. At first, I was like, nah, because nobody can carry the story of this and another. At this point, you don't really need nobody to carry you through season 5. Everybody has done what they can do in order
Exactly.
to this point. So now it's time to move forward, because we're coming to a closure. We have to close this out in order to bring everything full circle, to bring it back around to how we all met at this panel to begin with, through OG Power. So yes, I would be extremely pissed off if she's not Rock, you know what I'm saying? He killed his mother, like he unalived his mother. We got a problem. It shouldn't be nobody else. If anybody take my mother out, it's gonna have to be me, not Uncle Lou, not Marvin, and Juke. If you ain't with me, you against me. That's what it is.
Eddie up his polo Duke.
That's what it is.
Polo Duke. I ain't like that.
You ain't with me. You against me. But all jokes aside, though, I think if she is gone, if she's no longer with us, that it's okay because we bringing it to a closure anyway. In order to introduce everything that we've grown to love, the breeze, how Kanan got to be Kanan, how Juke ended up being the cop. You know, and whether or not Kanan went to go visit her at the grave, or whether or not went to go visit her in California or Colorado or wherever she is, as she probably could be, I think that we're bringing it to a closure at this point. So if she's gone, I'm pissed off, especially because it's regurgitated OG power. But if she's alive, I'm not mad at that either.
All right, we're jumping.
If Kanan visited her at the grave, if he the one that popped her, that's wild.
Thank you. That's what I was going to say.
That is crazy word.
I was going to jump in real quick to say that before we move on. That wouldn't make sense if he was the one that took her out. Why would he go to a grave to go see her? And then two, I get what you're saying, Jack. We got to move the story along. We can move the story along, but again, so that means you're saying all of season 5 is going to be nothing on the Thomas family. It's just going to be about Kanan, Snaps and Pop, Phil Russo, and Unique, and Breeze, and whoever. Like, they're gone. You might as well have took everybody from the Thomas family out this season if you're moving the story forward. Because at the end, Retro, you can remind me, what was that? Was that book 2 where they showed the joint 96 where the young Tommy and Ghost is coming out?
The end of OG Power.
Coming out. So that means that this is going to roll in the origins. So at some point, like, it has to fast forward. So that's another reason why I think we're now, a lot of people have debated this on this, that we're in 93 because we have to push forward because they were going to meet up with Kanan or Breeze, whoever, in 96. So somehow, some way, like if that's what we're moving forward to, then Lou, Marvin, and all them, they got to be gone next season, at least at the beginning. That's the only way that's going to make sense for it to push forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on all that real quick. We got a $10 super chat from DeMarcus. It would be interesting if Rock is in a RICO case and die like Nino Brown using the get out of jail free pass, thinking that she's about to escape the game. Tremont could retaliate on Rock. Okay, real quick, Mr. Power, what are your thoughts? Rock, dead or alive? And then I'm going to give you my thoughts.
I think she's alive, but I want to just touch on one thing that I keep hearing people say. They keep referencing back to the OG Power where Kanan says he visits his mom. Does anybody ever think like, oh, maybe he was lying? Like,
exactly.
Right. Dealing with this is Kanan's
Kanan was the biggest liar ever.
He's a manipulator. And who did he learn from? His mom. If y'all think they killed Patina Miller, one of the best actors in
he learned from Snapping Pop.
Y'all tripping.
Yeah, you tripping.
Rock ain't going nowhere. And if she does, I'm going with her.
Right. I'm going with it too. Listen, as much as I do not want Rock to be gone, let's go back to, I think that she is gone. And the reason why I feel like that is because this is the last season. We know that's the last season. Okay. Everything that you guys have said are valid points. I don't even want to argue with him. I hope every one of you guys are right because I want to be wrong on this. But we thought the same thing about OG Power. We thought that Tariq was not going to be able to carry a show by himself when they got rid of Ghost's character, but he went. We thought that just by Kanan saying he's going to visit his mom, that's a continuity issue. That could be easily a continuity issue because at the end of the day, at that point in Power, we didn't know that we were going to get these spinoffs. Mm-hmm. So just like what they did with Jukebox character, they didn't really develop that story arc. They didn't really develop the story arc about Kanan going to visit his mom. What's curious about it is that he would mention that to Ghost and Tommy. It alludes to the fact that Ghost and Tommy would know who Rock is.
Exactly.
But the reason why I feel like if they were going to keep Rock alive, they should have closed out some of these other story arcs. You got too many story arcs going concurrent for us to have a season 5. We're going into season 5 with the entire Thomas family. That's crazy work. We haven't gotten rid of anyone out of the Thomas family. Lou could have been gone. They should have let Lou took himself out when he tried to unalive himself at the Shady Pines mental rehab, drunk rehab institution where he went and got the drop cord out of the utility closet.
That's terrible.
Get rid of him. Shady Pies. That's the Golden Girls. Wherever the fuck he was at.
That is terrible.
Marvin, you could have let Marvin got dropped in that shootout. Like, you're bringing all these storylines over to season 5, and then you're going to rush to try to close them out. Plus, introducing a new storyline with us with Breeze. Then you got to snap and pop. You just got too much shit going on for it to be the last season and close out. For the story to move forward, Rock needs to be gone. And Kanan needs to realize that that was the biggest mistake he made. That needs to fuel his revenge against Pop and Snap, because y'all manipulated me into unaliving my mother. That needs to my mother. Y'all manipulated me into unaliving my mother. So to me, I feel like Rock being unalive actually pushes the story forward, because now Kanan needs to realize the big mistake that he made by unaliving his mom, because you were gassed up on shit that someone else put a battery in your back on. Marvin and Rock's business is already dead. Rock's business is already dead. She ain't got no work on the street right now. Unique is already taken, and then you got Unique that's still out there. That's another element. Like, y'all haven't closed out any of these stories, so we're actually literally starting season 5 just like we started any other season. And for it to be the last season, you've got to get rid of some of these characters to make room for the story to evolve into Power Origins. That's just my thoughts.
So I have a
You
question.
just made some really, really good points. I just think they be really creeping into that whole final season of Power. We know there was some terrible episodes.
It was
final season of OG Power, and I think they'd be creeping there if they got rid of Rock. Getting rid of Rock is like tie ball game, fourth quarter. Let's take Kobe out. Let's take MJ out. You don't do that. She's just too important to the story. And I get everybody making the great points about it does need to shift more towards Kanan. I agree 100%. Maybe Rock takes a little bit of a back seat in season 5. I think that would be beneficial to the story in a major way, as much as we love Patina Miller. But I just don't think you get rid of her. You've seen what happens when you do that before, but we also know Stars also doesn't care.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So I have a question for everybody on the panel then. Since everybody think Rock is gone, I've seen people in the comments talking about we're still in 92, which for me is impossible, but I digress. So with that being said, so
93
in season 5, so does that mean we're getting a time jump?
Keep in
We
mind.
have to if we
No. End of OG Power, it was 96. Okay. We still have to have I feel like if we're going to introduce, we have to remember, I said this last week, we have to have a period of time where Kanan and Breeze develop their relationship before we get to Ghost and Tommy. We have to have a period of time that passes where they meet Tommy and Ghost. I don't think that we are instantly in 96. We know that the story picks up with Ghost and Tommy in 96. I get that. But right now, we should be in 93. So we got 93, 94, 95. We got 3 years before we get to Ghost and Tommy. I feel like those could very easily be the first 3 seasons of Power Origins. I don't think that we're going to instantly get Ghost and Tommy's character. We have to have development of the Breeze character before we get to Tommy and Ghost. We have to have Kanan and Breeze's working relationship develop because once Ghost and Tommy come on the scene, then we get Angela, we get Tasha, we get Keisha, we get Dre, we get all those characters. That's going to overshadow everything. We need to spend a little time with Kanan and Breeze first before we get to Ghost and Tommy, because the minute those characters come on the screen, they are taking control of the story at that point. They overshadow anything else. So we're not going to be vested in anything that's happening with Breeze and Kanan. We still got to get rid of Snap and Pop. We still got to get rid of the rest of the Thomas family. So I feel like we got to spend a little time in Origins before we get to Tommy and Ghost. That's just my opinion on that, to clear up the continuity issue. I do feel like right now we technically should be in 93. And we should be starting season 4 in 94. But, Stars doesn't do well with continuity. Power doesn't do well with continuity. But I do feel like we do need to spend some time with developing Breeze and Kanan. Otherwise, I'm going to be pissed about that, because we've waited 10 years to meet this character. We don't need to rush through. We need to spend as much time as we spent learning all the other characters, learning Breeze. we're not going to learn Breeze in a couple episodes. We need to spend at least a season or two understanding how Breeze is that man, is that dude, is that person that ended up working with Kanan. I do believe that Kanan and Breeze are going to take out Unique. I do believe that. But I don't think we're going to rush to get Tom and Ghost.
Rachel knows what I'm about to say, but with y'all being the sneakerheads, I got to point it out. The timeline with the continuity, I mentioned it before.
I knew he was about to go.
49s came out in November 93. Howard in 92. Before that, I know Kanan had it, Rock had it like that, but I doubt they're a whole year before. Those came out in November 93, so I was hoping that they stuck with it. I even said on one of our reviews, like, we have to be in 93 because he's wearing Jordan 9s in that scene where they go to family dinner. Shout out to CG for having them in the background. But I just wanted to point that out with y'all being sneakerheads, you know?
And we said the same thing.
I mean, I've said it because last season when Unique and Ronnie are in the club, when they're listening to Nas' song, that dropped in 92. So at that point, it has to be, because at the very beginning of what we started, Raising Kanan, we started in 91, right?
91.
Yeah, we started 90. So at some point, it has to. It's impossible for us to still be in 92. I think that I get it that we saw, Famous, his whatchamacallit, his obituary said 92, which could have easily just been like, hey, the MBs, they wrote it. This is when
it's the wrong year.
Alive. We saw when Kanan goes to his grandmother's headstone and it says that she passed away in 92, but still at the same time, we're not seeing the exact time frame he's going to see that headstone. It could easily be 93, which, like I said, I don't care. Nobody's going to change my mind, but that's why I posed the question, are we going to get that time jump? Because that's the only thing that's going to make sense for the continuity, because there's no way that season 5 could just be 93 and then we roll over into Origins.
But it has to be because of the fact of they didn't give us closures of the story arcs that are going on in 92. So it has to pick up where it left off at. It has to pick up where it left off at with Rock being shot.
Yeah.
You can't fast forward unless it fast forwards in a way like kind of like how they did with OG Power with Angela. Someone brought that up. Yeah, Angela did get shot in season 5 and died in season 6, but she died. Still died.
But I mean, like, we get that time jump. Like, let's say, like, how we got the prequel on the first episode. So, like, those first 5 episodes, we're still in whatchamacallit, and then we get that time jump. Like, that's the only thing for me that would make sense.
I don't see how they could write it.
Yeah.
So for me, honestly, with the timelines and everything, and closing out these storylines with the certain family members and whatnot, and just to piggyback on like whether The Rock is alive or not, I see what you mean when you're saying like she has to be dead in order to further on these character stories and whatnot. I kind of feel like she has to still be alive, because she has to sit there and reflect on like, damn, everybody's saying I'm a monster, I did this, I did that, and then all the arguments that she was having with Marvin in that season finale as well. You could do like she gets shot, but she survives, and then kind of like a step back in a way, because in her mind, Rock, she's not gonna want to go in a war against her own son. So that's big, and then like her whole business is collapsed and everything, so she has no business. So she could take that step back, and then Kanan, he pretty much just caused a whole civil war with the family, and then you can still focus on him and Breeze building that relationship and slowly but surely uncovering the truth behind Snaps and Pops and their true motivations. And then that Kanan comes to that realization, and then he goes back to his mom, and then you start to build that reconciliation between the two, where Kanan kind of matures a little bit. And then you can end the season on somewhat of a satisfying note of the mother and the son joined at the hip for one final time to take out the people that tried to completely kill their relationship at the end.
I like that.
Move on. And then you have Rock possibly, like I said, have her leave New York. I feel like that's the strongest route for her to go. Killing her, that's just too easy. Same old.
And
her
cliche.
choice to leave on her own accord and let her son be a man and handle business, I just feel like that's just Jeff's kiss, man.
I think that'd definitely be the perfect storm. But let me ask y'all this question: What do y'all want to see now that we here and now that we finally get to meet Breeze? Because in our chat, everybody was saying, "Oh, this person was Breeze." We thought Unique was Breeze. They thought Simony was Breeze. They thought, somebody in Stanford Pop Camp was Breeze.
Ronnie was Breeze.
Ronnie was Breeze. We all had asked, we all had these questions come up in our comments. Now that we here, now that we get Breeze, what development do y'all want to see out of Breeze, and how do you think, or what influence do y'all want to see between the Breeze and Kanan dynamic?
I want Breeze to teach Kanan how to play chess. And I don't mean the actual game chess, but figuratively, I want him to teach Kanan how to move different. Kanan moves are sloppy. They're emotionally driven. They're not strategically driven. The only time we've seen him use any little bit of a strategy is when he went to put Ronnie down. And maybe some other little schemes and scams that he's done, like with the car, with the gas station, serving with the gas station and the courier service. We see that, but that needs to be pulled out of Kanan a little bit more. We need Breeze to teach Kanan how to move out here in these streets and not necessarily be manipulated. That's what I want to see the Breeze character do for Kanan.
So you saying, like, just to add, just a quick question. So you think kind of like how Kanan was doing Tariq in a way? Is that what
yes.
sports?
Yes.
Oh, gotcha.
Yes.
I'm gonna jump back on the question on do you think there's gonna be a time jump or not? I think the time jump is gonna depend on one character, and y'all about to flame me over this. The young brother who discovered Famous that a lot of us felt was Young Ghost.
No.
If that is Young Ghost, then no time jump. If that's not Young Ghost, then yeah, time jump.
I bet my life savings that ain't Young Ghost.
Hell no.
Yo,
not Ghost.
That is not Young Ghost. I'm sorry.
That is not how they're going to introduce that character.
Can't let this go on. Y'all are disrespecting Ghost, bro.
Thank you.
Ain't no way they're going to introduce him like that.
No.
Come on now.
No.
Come on.
They introduced
We've been
Breeze.
watching Power for too long.
Ghost has to get more of a prominent introduction. The way
we will know, just like we did with Breeze.
Yeah,
we will know when Ghost is on.
Yeah,
we will know when that character is introduced to us.
But it's Young Ghost though. It's not polished Ghost. It's not 3-piece $1,000 suit Ghost. It's Young Ghost.
That character, and I guess that's another thing that I watch a lot of channels, and I'm not knocking anyone for their content, and I'm not knocking anyone for their theories. All I'm going to say is a lot of people look for those nuances and Easter eggs, and that's not how the show traditionally introduces characters to us. That's a plot device. That was a plot device that was put there to find Famous. That was it. That's all. There's no other purpose for that character other than for him to go into that bodega, steal that 40, and run off and have the bodega owner chase after him to find Famous. That was a plot device for that character. Will not be Ghost.
Thank you.
Yeah,
facts.
Going back to the original question, what I want to see from Breeze, and that was a great point. Rachel every week had always talked about Kanan being a child and just moving sloppy and just moving crazy, and realizing how Ghost could overtake the business from him because of how he does. So that was a great point about him. The one thing I want to see Breeze introduced to Kanan is some humility. In a sense, like some street humility. And the fact that Breeze has appeared. Everybody else in Kanan's life is an adult, and they look at him as a kid, even though you're savvy, you're going places. You're the young OG, like you're youngin', but you ain't there yet. Breeze is someone that he can level himself up with. If Breeze is really who they say they are and getting like they do, then I think he has no choice but to follow in Breeze's footsteps because he sees how it can be done. At some point, Kanan's gonna have to realize that his way isn't working, and I think Breeze is gonna be the character that, hey, from a peer-to-peer level, we can do this together versus I'm feeling like I'm being little nigga every time that I try to make a move on my own. I want Breeze to look at some of Kanan's things and say, yo, what are you doing? Why would you do it like that? Or, hey, look at it like this and flip it this way. And I think that's going to make a lot of sense for how we see Kanan be who he is. Like I said, even in OG Power, he doesn't move the cleanest. But I would love to see that period. That would be a lot from the Breeze character for me.
I think what they're showing us with Kanan's character is how easy it was for Tasha and Ghost and everyone else to manipulate him, because even though Kanan is a savage. He's a beast. He's always outsmarted, and we see that he's being outsmarted here. To answer the comment, no, I do not think Kanan is going to be recast. I think he's going to grow with the show just like Tariq did. I don't think that they could possibly recast the character because the character is at the right age to grow for subsequent seasons. So let's just say that Origins goes 5 seasons. This actor is young enough where he can grow into the adult.
Yep.
Kanan, just like Tariq grew from like 13 to 21 on the Power Show. So I think that that's a good point. Who else wanted to answer Damon's question about Breeze and Kanan?
Yeah, man. I just want Breeze to teach Kanan how to be a man. Like, forget all the street shit. Like, teach him how to take accountability for his actions and decisions, and not just blame your mom for everything. Especially when you live in a life like this. Like, you can't blame nobody else but you.
Good point.
I think I think with Breeze, or definitely because we already understand who Kanan is, we already see the savagery in Kanan. I think Breeze just need to give him more of that street smarts. Like he thinks, like Kanan only thinks of what's in front of him. You know, he can't see outside what's in front of him, and that's what get him in trouble so much because he think he know everything that he just see that's right in front of him, except for, like y'all said, to y'all point, with the Ronnie situation. So I think Breeze will bring the balance so he'll have a better understanding of the ins and outs of the underworld, because he just thinks that it's just money hand over fist instead of all these chess pieces that's moving outside of what he possibly could see. And that's probably why he blamed his mom for everything, because he only see that. And well, of course, we know that he's not going to see no further than that, because he could have seen no further than that in OG Power. The only time that he kind of made chess moves is with Peak Sneakers, and even at that point, they kind of figured that out too. They kind of was like, well, nah, you know, they was like, well, maybe is really Kanan behind this? And they was like, oh, maybe it's not. Why would he, or whatever? So even he couldn't see the flaws in that plan. So I'm just hoping that at least at some point that he learned how to play a little chess instead of always playing checkers.
You know what? My next question is going to make me. My next question is going to actually make me piggyback on the fact that Rock may be alive. I'm gonna have to say I'm 50-50 now, because what was the purpose of keeping Stefano alive? What was the purpose of keeping Stefano alive? That character should have died. Why did we need him? Why do we need him? And going to someone mentioned it on the panel earlier about they couldn't see Marvin doing any business relationships with Stefano going forward. If they're going to kill the character, they should have just killed him in this season. So I feel like Stefano is still alive. So that brings me to my next question. Who was Rock on the phone with? My vote was Stefano.
Go ahead, Ray, because I seen she been
Ray ready to go
jump in for a minute. Yeah, I seen her. So I was like, go ahead, jump in.
So I forgot what I was gonna say about the whole Breeze of it all, but I don't know that Breeze can teach him how to be a man per se, but I do hope that he can provide some sort of perspective and experience, because clearly he's not able to receive from his uncles, because you've had the example of Marvin and Lou. Marvin, who cleaned his life up after going to jail, after being high on his own supply, and the same thing with Lou. Like, you don't have anybody, any male figure that you actually respect in your life. You almost had it with Howard. Maybe he sees some redemptive quality in Snap that we don't see, just as in OG. But I think, CG, to your point, as far as keeping Stefano alive, again, Stefano is a part of the 5 families in New York. Keeping him alive, knowing that Marvin is the shooter, I think that this is his way of now getting back at Phil. We learned in the final episode that Phil has never done enough. He's never been the guy. And so even with the way in which he stabbed Stefano, you didn't stab him deep enough to know that you unalived him. You left him there knowing that he was still breathing, not knowing if there was anybody in the park who could have potentially seen. So we know that he made it to the hospital. Rock said that he's as good as dead. I think that there is some breath in his body, and he's able to tell Phil's plan with Marvin unaliving Sal. And that is what gets the New York connection, the New York family to back Rock's enterprise, because remember, she does still have all the product from Hafiz. She just doesn't have anywhere or way to move it. The civil war that y'all spoke about, it is coming. And I think that now, prior to this, because of Marvin's faux pas with Early, Stefano was ready to wipe his hands of the Thomas family. But now I have to utilize them again, because they are the ones who are actually able to get their hands dirty. They're the ones that are putting in work. So now I have to put my family's muscle behind them, because Phil in New Jersey played us.
Exactly.
And Rock is the connective tissue, so she has to be alive.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's why I kept saying Rock has to be alive, because he not going to use Marvin to go in a war against Phil Russo and Unique, all of them. Like, that just would be, we've already seen Marvin is terrible with his decisions. So if they try to do a 180 and then all of a sudden Marvin becomes like this smart leader, I'm like, nah, ain't no way. We just seen him in all of season 4 making all these mistakes. There's no way that he does a 180 and then he just becomes like this. Oh, I'm a general now. Yeah, I can't see it. So
yeah. And Stefano don't even know who Lou is, so you can't even mention Lou. We've never interacted with each other once.
That's right.
Right. In terms of the phone call, I don't think it's Stefano for one reason. She made a comment about frying fish. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he already bleeding from the gut, and you wouldn't want to insult him, by making a joke about his fish place getting firebombed, So I agree with Ray. I think it either has to be Hafiz or Marvin that she's on the phone with.
It could be Marvin. But you keep in mind, Marvin just was in a shootout. So the context of the conversation is the clue. She wouldn't be having that type of conversation with Marvin after Marvin just got shot at. That conversation would have been a different conversation to have.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make sense for her to have it with Lou, because she had already sent Lou out to kidnap Pernessa and Jerome. Think back to what she said in the conversation. In the conversation, she told the person on the other end of the phone that Unique is going to have bigger problems than some boiling fish to worry about. The boiling fish was a reference to the fact that they set Stefano's fish shop on fire.
Right.
Earlier in the episode, when she was talking to Lou, she told Lou that she wasn't sure that Stefano was touch and go, that wasn't sure whether he was going to live or survive. To me, I think that was Stefano reaching out to Rock, letting him know that he did survive and that they going to patch up their issues, and now we got to go get at Unique. So I feel like that conversation was a reconnection between Rock and Stefano. It just wouldn't make sense for it to have been Marvin, and it wouldn't have made sense for it to have been Lou, when she had already told Lou at the house to go kidnap, unless it was Lou calling to confirm that they had just picked up Pernessa and Jerome. That doesn't make sense.
I mean,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just to jump in real quick, it does make sense. So it can only be those two. It can't be Hafiz, because Hafiz don't know where they move product out of. He just a distro. He's just supplying them. So it can't be Marvin, because just like you said, I mean, it could be Marvin because we're talking about the power of the universe, but I can't see it being Marvin because of, like you said, he ended up getting shot at. But at the same time, I'm thinking like, hey, it could have been because he's like, hey, these fools just tried to take me out. They rolled up on me at the gas station. But like you said, Retro, her tone made it seem like, because she wasn't in like a panic state. Yeah. So if it's not Lou, then it has to be none other than Stefano.
Could be Lou.
We about to get some new character that we've never heard of before. But those are the only two I could think of that she was talking to on that phone. Because we know it wasn't Juke. We know it wasn't Juke because Juke wouldn't know nothing about that. So, which poses my next question: who was Juke calling?
Okay, so that's the big argument between us off camera. We've argued about this for about 2 weeks straight. I'm going to say that she called Marvin.
That makes most sense. It's not I'll say it right now, it's not Garcia. There's no
It's
way
not
she
Garcia.
introduces a police officer.
Hell nah.
No, she ain't talking
Fuck
about
no.
Garcia.
Yeah, so it's not Garcia. I know a lot of
Not
people in the
Garcia.
comments have been saying that, but there's no way. I think the way that the Marvin and Juke relationship has developed, and I've mentioned this before when we got y'all, based off where it was in season 1 with that, infamous scene in the bedroom and Juke's bedroom and the way that went down, we should not like it. It's beautiful to see what the relationship is. They really made an emphasis on her talk with Aisha about how much Marvin means to her. And I think that's the only person that she knows or has any kind of solace or comfort in. And I think that's who came in. And I don't think the gunshot that we heard was coming from Kanan's gun.
Thank you, my man. Somebody, we here.
We on the same
Boy,
page.
boy, say we here.
Here we go.
I don't think it came from Katie's gun either. Since we were on the topic of it, I don't think it came from Katie's gun either.
I'm gonna spin the block on that.
I like as soon as we watched it, because we was all texting each other, all three of us were texting each other while watching it live time, and
all
I was
night long.
Yeah, all night long. And I was like, it ain't no way. Granted, it's 9 o'clock here, it's 12 o'clock there. We were still going at it. I was like, nah, it ain't no way that came from Katie's gun. I just can't see it. I can't. They came from outside, or they came from somebody who ran inside.
Nah, you going past the question. The question was, who was Juke on the phone with?
Exactly.
Okay, well let me talk about that then. Juke was on the phone with Marvin.
Okay.
Or she tried to call Rock, and Rock
was on the phone. Rock was already on the phone. I can give you that.
That's the only two scenarios that I see, is that she called Rock. Rock was on the phone trying to reach whoever she was on the phone with, and that's what the line was. And the line was busy, and then somebody just popped up, or maybe it was Juke who popped up, or maybe she called Marvin in, and then maybe Marvin popped up. But I think she was either on the phone with Marvin, or she tried to call Rock, and the line was busy.
Nah.
I'm not even sure if it was a two-way caller in 92, but
nah, DeMarcus, nah.
Yeah, that don't even make sense. Right?
Yeah, question, go on here and get in here. Who was Juke on the phone with?
Honestly, it's between either Marvin or Rock. She was trying to call because it makes the most sense. Just after just the sight of Kanan pointing that gun at her, just waving her around, you either with me or you against me. She's gonna want to make a call to her trusted folks, or like maybe to warn Rock, like Kanan's out of his mind, he's on his way to you. Watch your back, or try to call Marvin like Kanan's heading over Rock, and I don't know what he's gonna do. Please head over to him ASAP. And we did not see if the call got answered or not, so we really don't know. So it has to be between one of the two, in one of the two scenarios, whether Marvin eventually answered or she tried to call Rock and she didn't answer. So for me, it's one of the two.
ODH TV made a good point in his video. He said that you don't know how many calls Jubak made. So that's true. She could have made more than one call.
That's why I
go back to the reason why I think it was Marvin, because they gave us context clues throughout the episode. When her and Marvin had that conversation in her bedroom about Rock, and Marvin told her, listen, your Aunt Rock wouldn't have done that. If she would have done that, if she would have taken out Famous and Crystal, I would have known. Okay, that's one. Two, going back to her conversation with Aisha about, I need to. So to your point, Fish, Marvin is the only person that she feel like I can trust right now. And the fact that Marvin kind of readjusted her thought process on Rock, that would have been a natural thing for her to do, to pick up and call her dad and tell her dad what's getting ready to happen. Because after Kanan upped this poll on her and talk about you either with me or against me, who else could she have called for help? Who else could she have called to let them know that Kanan getting ready to go drop his mom? It would have been made sense for it to have been her daddy, for Marvin.
I agree. I do think that she was either trying to call Rock or Marvin, but I do want to ask y'all, in regards to Juke in this scenario, what did y'all think of her essentially revealing that she spent all these seasons feeling some kind of way about Rock, unbeknownst to all of us.
I didn't like that.
Okay.
We didn't need that.
Mm-hmm.
That was out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Facts.
That was out of nowhere. I don't know what the writers was doing with us on that. I don't know why they decided to play with us about that, because we have always seen that Rock and Juke have had a very close relationship. They've even talked about, their I guess mother and daughter time.
Mm-hmm.
That they would, spend having conversations or whatever. And they're the only two females in the family. Rock she called Juke and told Juke about the whole situation with Unique to come pick her up or whatever. This whole, you only saw me because Kanan was in the room. Where the fuck did that come from? Like, why? Why did y'all give us that?
Writers got bored, man. They got bored.
They got bored.
They just started
They got
throwing
bored
shit
with
on
that. That was bullshit.
on the screen to see what's going to stick. I just feel like when you do stuff like that, you do a disservice to the story you've already told from the beginning. Like, his family is a close-knit family. So when you have a scene like that, I'm like, what? Like, it don't even make sense.
And then also, too, in like season 3, there was a specific talk between Rock and Jukebox to where Rock had verbally stated, I'm not here to talk about Kanan. It feels like I'm always coming to you to try to watch out.
I'm here for you.
I'm here for you. They had that conversation. So that made no sense for that little spat to go about in that season 4 finale.
Agreed.
So I think for me, I agree with Mr. Power. Like, the writers, the way they took it, it was stupid. It made no sense. But at the same time, if you look at it, they're trying to put like because remember, for the longest time, Juke was always saying Rock couldn't have done that. Rock couldn't have done that. Rock couldn't have done that. Now she's on the fence after she hears about once Garcia comes to her. Yeah, once Garcia comes to her and tells her, like, oh, it was this black lady coming out of the apartment. So now immediately, she's on the fence. So it's like, it's one of those things where, like, yo, she's not even sure herself if Rock, she's kind of like, yo, Kanan might be right. Like, I could have had Rock wrong all along. I didn't like that whole situation, and I kind of like that Rock stood the ground. Like, okay, you're an adult now. Like, you pushing it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta
play over here.
Yeah, like you overstepping your boundaries. But at the same time, I wish the writers would have put in for Rock to say, like, yo, look, Juke, I get it. I get how you feeling. And she could have just went into a little bit more in depth as to far as like with Famous, the whole Crystal thing, everything, because had she gotten that, she might have not said what she said, and then we might not have. But I get it, because they had to write it to where she's getting more close with Marvin. So when she heard it from Marvin, that's when it clicked in her head, like, oh, wait a minute, it's not her, because as we saw when she went over to Kanan's spot, she tried again to say, like, yo, maybe she did not do this. So it clicked in her head then, like, yo, if my pops is telling me, like, oh, he would have known. Because remember her face after Marvin said it, she was like, oh, she didn't do this.
She realized she fucked up.
Yeah, she realized then that, like, yo, I fucked up. So I think, like I said, Mr. Powell, it was stupid. Like we got this whole season, we ain't get no blowback from Juke, and then the last episode we get this whole whatchamacallit, like, oh, I've been peeping what you've been doing, but I ain't been saying nothing. It's like,
but you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of, I had the same feeling regarding Tasha's mama in Power Book 2 Ghost. We went through 6 seasons of Miss Estelle. We've never seen that lady touch a drop of alcohol. We never heard her reference to being an alcoholic. All of a sudden, over in Book 2, the same character that we've known for 6 seasons is now all of a sudden falling down drunk. Like, why are you reintroducing the character? Why are you redeveloping the character? You've spent this much time teaching us, showing us this character in one way, and now you want to introduce them to us in another way. Like, what was the point of that? So I felt the same way with Juke. Like, I get that y'all are trying to transition Juke's character, but we didn't need her to be against Rock, because everyone else we've seen all throughout all the seasons are against Rock. Juke has been her biggest advocate and benefactor. Why change that narrative? But I get where you're going with that, Fresh. So I agree with that.
Hey, Big Mama needed a drink after falling from grace. He was getting high off the hog. Big Mama needed a drink.
She had to raise.
That's
money.
all.
I would say, y'all, just to play devil's advocate, you know, Rock is always, you gotta talk to him, Juke. You gotta talk to him, Juke. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like just after just 100 of those, you gotta talk to him, Juke. She like, damn, like it's your son. You know what I'm saying? And also, she's probably feeling like, do you ever see Kanan's point? You know what I mean? Like, I know that Kanan is a hothead. I know he's in the wrong a lot, but I think she felt like, do you ever see Kanan's point? Because I'm always trying to get Kanan to see your point.
Ooh, that's a good point, Jay.
That's a good theory right there, bro.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Dynamics and I think what the dynamics of Jukes and Kanan in the relationship is that the only person that could really get that close to Kanan to make him even listen was Juke. You know, like Lou was on the bottle. He wasn't really listening to Marv. Marv said, man, this little nigga need his ass whipped. So he wasn't really listening to Marv. The only person that he would listen to, not necessarily take heed to what she's saying, was Juke. So that's why the conversation always went to Juke. Hey, you need to go ahead and you need to talk to her. But Rock has been in Juke corner from the beginning, from the time where Marvin and Juke had fell out and Juke was staying at the house, from the time where Rock had gave her the chain, you know, right before that she went to go perform with Butter and everything had popping up there. She has always been there. I think what the writers was trying to give us was the closeness with Juke and Marvin relationship, and to show us how close that Kanan and Juke was, and that's why they made her say what it is that she said while they were sitting at the table. I think Juke was dead wrong and she needed to be smacked in the mouth, but I think that was the only reason they did that, you know. But it goes, if you fast forward it, when he upped the strap on her and she looked at him like, yo, yeah, you wildin', you know. I'm trying to just give you a different type of, you know, perspective, because you only see, if it, again, we said this ad nauseum, if it rains, it's Rock's fault. You know what I'm saying? If it's sunny, it's Rock's fault. I have a good day, it's Rock's fault. If I did, no, it's not a good day. It's only a good day because Rock. It's only a good day because my mother made it that way. This is all her. The way I do. Y'all don't see her. I know her better than anybody.
His Tim's got a scuff.
Even you, Juke. It don't matter what it is. It's always got to have something to do with Rock.
He got a flat tire. Rock did it.
Yes, and that was just so much so putting more of the distance between Rock and Kanan's relationship that they threw Juke in there to try to provide even more of a distance between Rock and Kanan's relationship until Juke spoke to her father.
All right, so let's spend a little time with Snap and Pop. I said last week that I had an issue with them connecting Breeze's character to Snap and Pop. I did not like the fact that they introduced Breeze's character as being related to Snap and Pop. I wish they would have introduced his character a standoff. Snap and Pop still could have known him and still could have made the introduction, just like they did with Unique, just like they did with Ronnie in the whole situation. But why did the character have to be related to Kanan? Because it alludes to the fact that now it's going to be harder for Kanan to take out Snap and Pop. How do you guys feel like Snap and Pop? How do you feel like Kanan's going to find out about what Snap and Pop has been doing?
I don't know how he's going to find out. I will say I thought about everything you just mentioned about them being related. Maybe I'll pose a question to y'all. Is that a real relation, or is that a street? Is this our street nephew, or is this our blood nephew? You know what I mean? Is this just somebody we've seen as a young pup? Maybe somebody who used to work with us, that's his son, and we've seen him raise up in this game, and we take claim of him because we've literally known him his entire life, so he's family. You know how we do. Y'all know how we do. We all got play cousins and play this and that. So did they mean it in that way, or did they mean it, hey, it's blood? Because the twist would be, not only to your point, Retro, about making it harder for Kanan, it'll make it hard for Breeze to get the green light on something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I did wonder that. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to let everybody else answer your actual question, but I just wanted to throw that out there because it is fascinating how they're going to spin that together.
That's a great theory. I didn't even never think about that. He got me. I got to ponder now. That's a good theory.
Yeah. I definitely think it's a blood relation because they introduce him by his first and last name. You know what I'm saying? So we all sitting up here, you know, like Jay Spruill is just like a phonetic play off of my real government first and last name. So on the streets, oh, that's Jay Spruill. He cool, you know, but They introduced him. They said his first and last name fully.
Branford.
Yeah. And typically, you got to be family to be able to do that. And that's how come he kind of rolled his eyes. He's like, no, man, they call me Breeze. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, hey, you blowing up my spot.
Yeah.
Telling them my real government name, like chill, they call me Breeze.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I can see it being kind of like a situation because you know how they're taking advantage of Kanan as it is now. And just a little bit like, well, first off, you know, let me just say, I do like the fact that they are directly, Breeze and Snaps and Pops are directly related, just to like show like their position on the whole chessboard and just showing how much power Snaps and Pop have and the connections that they have. So just me personally, I do like that they were related. For me, like how Kanan's going to find out the truth, it's like, it seems like he's slowly but surely like finding out like, y'all have bigger schemes and plans at play. And just like the way he was looking at them as they were talking and they were trying to like, y'all ain't got to make no deals yet. This is just an introduction, whoop-de-whoop. And I feel like Breeze is going to find out something that Snaps and Pop did that are directly affecting him as well. And then Kanan, he's going to bring up his issues to Breeze as well. And then they're going to kind of like team up together in a way, and then Rock, you could have her be involved as well because she was directly affected, and then everybody essentially has the green light and they all try to team up to take out Snaps and Pop because of them manipulating and having everybody take out each other while their pockets fill up. So that's how I think. I think like they're kind of manipulating and scheming on Breeze as well, and Breeze is going to find out and he's going to be aligned with Kanan and taking them out.
Okay, good theory. Like that. All right, anyone else want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, man, I agree with all that. I feel like Snaps and Pop have been just manipulating the board for so long. Eventually, you're gonna slip up. You're gonna make a mistake. And Kanan's stupid, but he ain't gonna be stupid forever. And I think now that he's working with Breeze and Breeze is gonna teach him how to move, he's gonna peep some stuff. And we know his power. It doesn't matter. Family kills family all the time. They're gonna keep killing family because that's what they do in power. So they're gonna be off the board pretty soon. And that's the only way. I mean, if Kanan want to take over, Snaps and Pop can't be the ones running him. He gotta get them out the way.
That's right.
If I could just piggyback off of what Mr. Power said, I honestly think they already slipped up a little bit because that conversation during the introduction, Kanan kind of gave him a side eye, like, wait a minute.
Unique being a temporary ally.
Yeah, so I think his antennas is already up. So I think they already have slipped up, because Pop was talking too much.
For sure. Okay, I was gonna say, Kyron, I already told you, I do think that Breeze is a blood relative, but also I don't think Kanan needs to get Breeze's permission to take them off the board. Even though he got their permission to take Ronnie off. No, once Kanan finally comes to his right mind and figures out the ways in which he's been manipulated, despite him being in partnership with Breeze, if they're so alike as Pop alluded, I don't think that he needs his permission. Kanan, from what we've known of him for all of these seasons, for the most part, has done his own thing, even to his own detriment. So whether he pulls the trigger, we know that he's not a great shot up to this point. Or if that is an early job that he gets Tommy to do later down the line or something like that. Like, I don't think he's going to need the okay from Breeze to do that, because at the end of the day, he doesn't understand it now, but the Thomases are his family. So you made me kill my mother, allegedly. You took out my girl. You took out my best friend. It's up. It doesn't matter. I don't need your permission to do that. I've been standing on my own all of this time. And if I don't give a fuck, if I can tell Unique to his face that I took out your brother, if I can step to my mother, I don't care about y'all. You're an ends to a means at this current juncture, but I'm Kanan Stark. I'm me. You can't manipulate me. And he's already, to your point earlier, he's already given them a handful of side eyes on their manipulation tactics. So as low as he is, he does have a tinge of street smarts.
So
Yeah, I was gonna say,
go ahead, Jay Sparrow.
The way I think the whole panel is irritated with how Garcia keep popping out on Juke, right? Like we all hate that, right? I think the next time Garcia pop out on Juke, he gonna slip up and say something, and that light bulb is gonna go off on Juke head, and and I don't know if she'll show her hand to Garcia that she knows, but she gonna tell Kanan, and it's gonna be a green light. Kanan gonna snap.
Is he on Snap and Pop payroll? Is the question I'm starting to wonder.
I was about to pose another question before you said that, Retro. So, Jace,
that whole black lady coming out of the apartment, that seems purposely placed.
Well, I mean,
the whole black lady coming out of the building seems purposely placed.
It also is true though. It is true.
I wonder.
Yeah, that was kind of sus.
That was a little suspect. I mean,
yeah.
You have to ask yourself: is he on payroll?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer your question and follow up with a question. So I don't think it is. I don't think that he is because remember he was never investigating Crystal's death. He only did it because of Juke.
Juke asked about it.
Yeah, so once Juke asked about it, he started to do it. Then that's when he found out that they found out it was a black lady coming out, which is none other than Pop. My thing is, as y'all go back to as far as Snaps and Pops getting taken out, I'm starting to think it's not going to be Kanan. It's going to be possibly Juke.
Yep.
Or it's going to be someone along the line. They're just going to be I can't even think of the word, that's like during the whole war thing, they're just going to get taken out. I don't think it'll possibly be Kanan. I think Kanan probably won't even find out that they had anything to do with what happened to Famous and Crystal until after they're gone. So I think and that's what Jay Sproul was rolling over to, that Garcia's going to say something, slip up. Juke is going to realize, we saw Juke when she was on the basketball court, she was already like 7:30. She was going wild. So it's going to be like, ain't nothing going to stop her from taking out, because we saw Juke in the season 5 trailer crying. So it could be possibly that they take out Marvin. That's her revenge tour right there. And she takes them off the board, or it's going to be someone else. There's going to be collateral damage between the whole war, and somebody else is going to take them out. It's not necessarily going to be Kanan, because like you said, I can't see that Breeze will be like, go ahead, take them out, knock them off the board, unless he does some whole manipulate thing where he takes them out and then he tells the Breeze like, oh, I don't know what happened. But we know Kanan's not that smart. He's dumb as a box of rocks. So I can't see him doing that. So
okay, real quick before we wrap up, what do y'all think here in this particular teaser from season 5 in the trailer? And I think for the first time ever, we have gotten an early teaser for the next season. So we know that they've wrapped up production on season 5, and they've put a little mini teaser out. They kind of blended it in with Force. So, I wasn't even paying attention to the shit that was going on in Force because I'm ready for it to go. But do you think here is when she realizes or she finds out that Marvin is gone?
Absolutely. He gone. He dead. She foreshadowed it when she was talking to Aisha, right?
Yes.
She was like, I need to stay here for my dad and look out for him. I'm like, hold up, Marvin's a grown-ass man. Why you need to stay in and look out for him? So I think that's kind of foreshadowing, to push her story forward. He gonna have to go. It makes sense.
He got to go.
I think it's the opposite, reverse it. I think Rock is gone. Because think about it, she's consoling Kanan, but she still is in shock and she's still in pain because her last interaction with Rock was an argument.
That's what I thought. That when I initially saw this, that's exactly what I thought.
That. But how was Kanan going to flip it? Unless, as I've said, my theory, unless it's not Kanan that unalives Rock, and we get the first episode. That shot that we hear is none other than Unique and Akbar rolling up,
100%.
and they spraying the house. That's the only way.
Or is it that Marvin took Rock's bullet? Or is it Marvin took Rock's bullet?
You think he would do that though?
Think about going to your point. Her last interaction with Rock was an argument, so was Marvin's. Marvin's last interaction with Rock was an argument. But one thing we know from Marvin is he always show up for his family. That's his little sister. So if that call was from Juke to Marvin, that Kanan getting ready to go do something stupid to Aunt Rock, Marvin shows up. What if he takes the bullet for Rock and Rock is out of here? I mean, Marvin is out of here, and that's what this is. Why she would be consoling Kanan, I don't know. But what if that's the way we get rid of Marvin? What if we get rid of Marvin right out the gate, season 5?
That'd be crazy.
That'd be crazy.
He should have been.
But don't you think that would complicate Kanan and Jukebox's relationship even further though? Like they definitely not gonna be rocking.
I think we see them in OG Power have a complicated sort of relationship.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what if that is the catalyst that gets Juke out of New York out to DC?
And keep in mind, we still got to see Juke give Kanan that scar.
Yep.
Right.
So that's what also made me think she's the one who pops up at the end and fires that shot. Now, I've seen some people say, well, we don't see the scar in the season 5 trailer for this, but I'm like,
you don't know when
the trailer went by so fast, like ain't no way in the world you would have been able to pay attention to see if you see a scar or not.
We don't know when she gives it to him too. She could give it to him later on in the season.
That's true.
And trailers can easily be CGI'd out. Marvel has proven that time and time again.
Every trailer they put out.
that AI.
That's
AI at its best, right?
That is true for sure.
Okay. All right. So those are some good theories, good points. All right. So I'm going to open the floor up for everyone. As we get ready to wrap up the show, it's a free for all now. So anything you guys want to question, ask, comment on, go for it.
I got something for y'all. Out of all the Thomas family members, I don't think they're all gonna die. But who, we know Juke and Kanan, they survive. Who is the one that's the most likely to live in you guys' eyes? For me, I told Mr. Power this the other day. I think it's Lou. I think that Lou is the one that still is going to be around. And then you could have that character pop up here and there in a Power Origins, per se, just for that connective tissue. I mean, what do you guys think?
I think it's Lou too, to be honest. I think Lou will end up, I think that's why he's hanging around the music industry. I think at some point, there's a possibility that he gets, that he indulges himself more in the music industry. And that's pretty much his outlet. You know, so I think if anybody was to survive, especially surviving from what Lou came from, dealing with AA and alcohol and the other stuff that he was going through, I think Lou is probably going to be the only survivor out the Thomas family who's going to be in music. Might even get back with Jessica and go to California. She made him an offer.
They kind of foreshadowed that, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe he'd go. So maybe he'd go there. She said, "Is everybody knows you in California. Everybody knows you in the music industry. Everybody done heard your name. Your name's been ringing in the music industry. So maybe he does his dirt and then he ride off to the sunset.
Good. He can take B-Rilla ass with him.
He'll get smoked.
No, be really.
He worked my nerves so bad.
Be really not gonna make it. He's not gonna. He ain't gonna make it. Like
oh my god,
he's out of there by
once Unique find out what's went on or whatever, be really gonna be the first one to get situated. Trust me.
Unique gonna put him down.
Unique get him situated.
I ain't mad at that either. Did
I got a question for y'all though. In the beginning of the season, y'all peep how Unique and Early Tyler were really tight and everything. They was working together. It seems like that relationship just kind of just disappeared from the storyline. Like they stopped interacting. It's like, did they even know each other anymore? And Marvin never found out that Unique was working with Early Tyler.
I thought that was just me, and that goes back to there were so many storylines that were left, like they never closed them out. Because remember, Retro, at the beginning, we said for sure that we thought at some point Marvin was going to find out that Early Tyler was working with Unique and he was going to take him out. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, once Unique got back on, Early Tyler just kind of fell back, and now he's working with Marvin. I don't understand it. Like we never, like we just never saw it, and then we never saw Retro, to your point, we never saw him. I think what was it, after episode 5, we never saw him hitting his head no more. Like all of a sudden, he was just back to like he was just
normal Unique. Yeah,
he was no more. Like he wasn't this crazy character that the doctor had said he was going to become. He was just straight, oh, I'm just on a revenge tour. So I'm with you, Mr. Power. I was just wondering what happened to that whole dynamic and that storyline between them two. And maybe in season 5 we'll find out that Unique is mad that Marvin took out Earth. I don't know, but I didn't understand that at all. How that whole storyline just disappeared out of nowhere.
See, stuff like this just goes back to my point and just saying, like, you should have never brought Unique back. You should have stuck with that story of him being dead, because you just opened up a whole can of worms of trying to fill in this gap, this doesn't make sense. And I'm going to say this, too. The whole, he has the knocked head, he's not going to be the same. I thought that was such a cop-out, a cop-out excuse from the get-go. I hated it.
They said he had CTE.
Yeah, such a cop-out. I did not like that excuse of why he would be, he don't look at Rock the same. That's why he's not thinking. Like, just use your brain.
And he remembers everything vividly, but he sure don't remember his conflict with Ronnie. He don't remember none of his conflict with Ronnie. He don't remember the fact that he ran up on Ronnie and Ronnie attacked him. The fact that he's back at the tailor shop and not having any flashbacks to that last moment of being attacked at the tailor shop is crazy work to me. But yeah, I'm not even gonna get on a tangent about that because that's just stupid. Just absolutely stupid in the writing.
Retro, he did tell Kanan that he wasn't feeling Ronnie at the end either. So he does have some sort of remembrance. The only thing that I'll say is maybe in season 5, because the vet he said that the dog was normal at first and then he switched. So maybe we see him having these blackouts with Pranessa, these random fits of rage, and we haven't seen it since then, but maybe that makes a return in season 5 and Akbar has to put Unique down because he done played crazy in his face.
We did play crazy in his face. You're lying about that.
Unique remembers everything, but don't remember the fact that Ronnie outright hated Rock. So why would they ever work together?
You don't remember Ronnie taking out Dean, huh? You don't remember that either, huh? You don't remember none of that.
What'd he say? Fuck Rock.
Fuck Rock. Fuck Rock. That's all he know. That's the only language he knew.
It still said that he loved her, though. I was still mad that.
No, he talking about Ronnie. Ronnie was saying fuck Rock.
Yeah. No, I know that. But I was saying as far as like Unique, we never even got to get more on that when he mentioned that I still love her though. Like I thought
I said that earlier. Like they missed the opportunity with that, because
I feel like they did though. He still had some moments where he kept pressing over her, like telling Lou about their relationship. If you ain't like her no more, why are you talking about y'all past for it? Clearly, there's
right. You acting like a jealous baby daddy.
I think he just get under her skin and
even call me daddy.
And Rock wasn't pressed at all. She wasn't bothered. She wouldn't move. She was like, "Oh, okay." Go pick up Pranessa and Jerome. Like Rock, I love Rock. Rock don't even like. Rock told him at the beginning of season 1 she don't get on her knees for no man, and she showed that. Like no matter how much up against the wall she is, she never crack under pressure. Like now you see she gets stressed, she starts smoking them cigarettes. She starts smoking them Newports when she gets stressed, but she never let her opposition know that she in a tight spot. So that's one thing I like about the Rock character is that she don't break under pressure. All right, man. Ain't no more E-Tone. That was a cameo. That was it. That's all.
No more E-Tone.
We better not see him again.
Yeah. Work on your quarterback accuracy, fam. That's what you need to be practicing, throwing some straight lines instead of some acting lines.
That's it. No more E-Tone. You ain't gonna see no more here. We didn't need to see him for this.
We didn't.
No.
Yeah, don't turn this shit into BMF now.
Oh my God.
At least you could wish me luck.
We got like one more week before we doing that.
Are y'all gonna be watching BMF this season or not?
Fresh and Jack goes.
I gotta watch it just because just to finish. I got same way I'm watching the Sky. Like
we gotta finish.
But I gotta watch it.
It ain't gonna be good, but we gotta finish it.
Yeah,
I feel like it's gonna be easy content though. That's easy content.
We won't be reviewing it, I'll tell you that much, but I'll watch it.
I wasn't going to watch BMF, but now that they get into the record label side of BMF, it might draw me back in. But after what is his name? Lamar poured his poo-poo on another black man. I was done with BMF after that scene. I was like, that's just so unnecessary. You know what I'm saying?
Very show.
Yeah.
Nah.
All right.
I'm
Anybody else
not
got
even telling the real
anything?
story no more.
I
Anybody
just
got
do one quick hit. Just a
Go
quick
ahead,
discussion. It's a quick hitter. I asked Rachel on our episode because a lot of chat has been going on with the development of Kanan, and as much as the fans dislike Kanan, who got it worse, Kanan or Tariq? And for all accounts and purposes, I'm a Tariq apologist. I never had an issue with Tariq, even when everybody hated him.
What?
Tariq was my guy always.
Boo him off
We
the show.
need a whole nother show for
I'm
this.
gonna
We need
boo
a whole
him.
nother
You out of here, man.
You gotta go.
You out of here.
Wow. Oh my God.
He actually booted him for real.
You gotta go.
But hold on, there's one question I
Hey,
do
we
have.
love you, Rich. We love you. Rich.
One question I think
no.
we haven't touched on yet. Real quick, the last one for
Rich,
me.
I thought you were part of the fam, man. Oh,
Hey, man, shout out to Tariq, man. Justice for Tariq. It's my dog.
Justice for Tariq.
Fuck Tariq.
He's
Right.
That's my nigga, man. Do y'all think we see, listen, at the end of season 5 of Raising Kanan, do you think the show ends with a cameo of us seeing our first official look at a young Ghost and Tommy?
Yep.
yes.
Yes.
It has
Yeah.
to.
Yep.
Has to.
But to answer Rich's question, who's worse?
Tariq.
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 Tariq Saint fucking Patrick.
Well, actually,
Kanan got a
if
scratch
we
and box.
really keeping it 100,
Y'all saying Tariq?
if we keeping it 100, they're the same person.
I made that point as well. They
They're
are
the
the
same.
same person.
They're
They go
really
the same.
They're the same.
Yeah.
I can't say that.
It was poetic. It was poetic. that Kanan was
Fresh, they're the same.
Well,
They're the
the
same.
difference is
They're not the same. They're not the same.
Nah.
the difference
Because
is
what
that
happened
Kanan
with
is. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh.
No, go ahead.
The key difference is Kanan is brought up in that entire world that Rock and them is in the drug game. At least with Ghost and Tasha, they tried to completely shield Tariq, Raina, and them from it completely. Now,
Especially
they
Ghost.
should have been a little bit more honest and upfront about their past and still shielded them, but at least they tried to completely separate them. Rock, she just tried to say, oh, you're going to that school, but still have Kanan up and around that entire world. So
But
that's
technically, she
nobody
did
want to
the
be a
same
hood
thing
nigga
too,
more
though.
than a
She did
suburban
the same
kid.
thing too, though, because
Hey,
had Kanan went to Stuyvesant, he wouldn't have been a part of it. But his refusal to go to Stuyvesant kept him around.
That's true. But but at the same time, with Ghost and Tasha, where the whole thing messed up is Ghost no longer being in the house, and then Tariq.
Cheating on Tasha. Yeah, I agree.
And that's Tasha's fault, because if Tasha would have let that man lay hands on that boy and got his mind right, he wouldn't have did what he wanted to. So that's why I said it's Tariq was worse, because Tariq had all the Ghost kept telling him, bruh, you have all the money and the opportunities I never have. You do not have to be in this life. What did he keep saying? Teach me the game, Ghost. Why?
Yeah.
You don't have
to though.
But there was Fish was saying that Kanan grew up in it, so he already knew what his mama was doing. He already knew what Rock was doing.
Out of starting gate, yeah.
Tariq didn't know that. Tariq was only doing that to rebel, and then he just wanted to be like, oh, I just want to be this kingpin, which he was still a stupid kingpin. So he was worse, because it was like, bruh, in real life, Tariq would have been gone before we got season 1, book 2.
And he got his sister unalive.
Got his sister unalive.
The manipulation with Trey, the manipulation with Tommy.
Stop it. Raina death was her fault.
They were like,
whoa, who said that?
Who said that? He got to go.
Raina's death was her fault. She knew
You out of here,
she shouldn't have been.
Whoa, yeah, get him out.
Hold on, no, I want to hear his explanation on this.
Come on now.
You better come with a good one.
If y'all watched the show, y'all knew Raina knew exactly what her parents was doing. She was the first one to really get hit. She knew what was going on with Tariq. She knew what he was doing. She should have stayed out of his business. You going up to Ray Ray, the stone cold killer, saying, I know who you are, Ray Ray. What you think was going to happen?
She wouldn't even knew Ray Ray for Tariq. She wouldn't even knew Ray Ray for Tariq.
Yeah, she did say, my dad is going to kill you. Like, that wasn't
why would you say that?
Know
Why would you say
that wasn't smart.
Come on.
Hey
now.
y'all, I got one question because I see we had 2 hours and 15 minutes, so I don't want to do. Since we kind of segue to Tyreek, will Tyreek make your enjoyment of Force more this season if he is a part of that show?
No.
No.
You want some of this phone, man?
100%.
No.
100%.
Bring back Ghost, and we'll be good.
Thank you.
I mean, if
wanna
he makes
respond
sense
to
for the
Mr.
show, then
Power,
cool.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying, Mr. Power. I check what you're saying. Raina was out there trying to protect her brother, though, because she saw her brother was out here ripping and running these streets and whatever. Yeah, she knew what the family was doing. He even said that. Raina, he even told Ghost that in episode 5, Happy Birthday, where he was like, yeah, Raina knew what you do too, but she didn't care because you bought her nice stuff. I get that, but she was out there trying to defend Ghost. She was not there trying to defend Tasha. She was out there trying to defend her crazy ass brother that was out here ripping and running the streets that got her caught up. But I guess you could say the same thing for Kanan too, because Kanan inadvertently caused Nicole's death. He aborted his first child.
D-Wiz.
He caused his best friend, both of his best friends, to get unalive in this situation. So I mean, I feel like Kanan is just as culpable as Tariq was in all of his missteps. Tariq was just stupid and was just fueled by his anger against Ghost for cheating on Tasha. And then when Ghost put hands on Tasha, that didn't make it any better. But at the same time, I just feel like they're both the same character. I don't see anything different. Tariq is a little bit smarter than Kanan. That's all I'll give him.
I'll give him that for sure.
He's more smarter than Kanan, but as far as the missteps, they both make the same moves. But man, Raina was innocent in all this, Mr. Power. You can't take that away from her, sweetheart.
I'm gonna give him my explicit version backstage. I'm gonna go in, and it's gonna be explicit. Matter of fact, I'm gonna
Miss Raina, she was a sweet little girl.
And listen, and listen, and CG, he's gonna go in the exact same. Like we gonna go same lane. We gonna go in. Cause I'm gonna go in as soon as we go backstage.
I can't
Y'all have no idea.
That little bastard.
Y'all have no idea. That is.
I don't want to see him in another spinoff or nothing. Let him go.
This we go.
Die at the end of go.
I'm gonna wait. We gonna wrap this up, and then we'll be backstage. If we can get uncut versions of the backstage.
Let's start out to Tariq.
Man, I ain't shouting out no Tariq. I feel like Old Randy Orton. I feel like the biggest wrestling heel or something, man.
Fuck Tariq.
Y'all niggas ain't never seen a drug dealer have the easiest path to kingpin status ever.
Exactly. Tariq should have been unalive so many times. Like, come on now.
Tommy should have dropped him off the roof.
Yeah.
He stole from him.
And he set him up with the Italians. Man, we'll be here another 2 hours. Let me be quiet. I just got to be quiet.
You stay alive when that nigga like
that. For so much shit. You know what? I'm gonna wait till we have backstage.
All right. What anybody else last thoughts on the season? What about predictions for the season? What would y'all want to see happen in season 5?
Rock come back.
Rock and Kanan had a
I
reconciliation.
bet Rock. She need to go into witness protection or something. She need to get out of town or something.
What I want to see Juke become as gangster and as feared as Tommy and Ghost and Kanan was talking about. I still haven't seen any of that yet. So
you saw a snippet of it when she got ready to put Freddie's crew down.
Yeah, I mean that was a snippet though, but I want to see something concrete.
When she put Snap and Pop down for manipulating Kanan.
I actually agree with all of that. I want to see that too. Only I do think we got a glimpse when she also took down Crystal's cronies in the subway. I would like to see Rock alive. I do want to see Juke become the Stone Cold unaliver that they referred to her as in the original Power. I also would like to see Snap and Pop up out of here. And I want to see Amber in a good home.
We saw that.
Marvin stays with her. Like he stays and maybe he develops a relationship before he gets up out of here with her family. Leave her some money or something. Put something aside for little Amber. She's been through enough.
She has. Poor little Amber.
Amber might get revenge and take out Marvin.
Right. Why? He wasn't the reason why her druggy daddy
she don't know that
himself and her sister in the bathtub.
I mean, she don't know
that. That little girl. We don't saw enough of her. That's it. She's in a nice family now. She's gonna have a nice life.
This
She
would be
white. She'll
perfect.
be okay.
That would be perfect.
She's a little white girl. She'll be okay. She's fine. She'll be fine. All right, predictions. Kanan figures Ronnie, Toad on Famous, Pernessa surprises Unique, Stefano and Russo taken out, Pops and Snap, Unravel the call. You know what? I want Pops and Snap to figure out the whole Detective Howard and Kanan relationship. Like, I feel like we need to see more of their conniving of season 5. Like, they introduced that to us this season because the last season we didn't see the conniving side of Snaps and Pops characters. We just kind of saw them at Switzerland a little bit and saw them, kind of, using the situation to their advantage. But this season, I feel like they went out of their way to show us how manipulative and conniving they are. I feel like that's going to continue throughout season 5. They're going to continue to show us as the audience how much more manipulative they're going to be in regards to Kanan. Breeze will smoke Snaps and Pop because he doesn't want to give them part of Kanan in his business. I believe Breeze will get a spinoff.
Nah.
Okay, you just talking.
Hell nah, he ain't get no damn spinoff.
Yeah,
he didn't spinoff for
spin right into Power Origins.
Spinoff.
Right. He's gonna spin right into Power Origins. Spin there.
Yeah, nah, I don't see that happening, bro. I still feel that other spinoff of Power that we're getting is going to be Europe somehow, some way.
With Kane.
Real quick.
I don't even think it's gonna be Kane. I feel like that's probably where Tommy and possibly Tariq end up going.
Oh God, please no.
Because remember, like they had already opened that door when we saw Tariq go overseas. With I can't even think of that girl's name right now. Her face is with Effie. When they went overseas, we saw them kind of open that door with that and what was Anya's mom name?
Noma
with that character. So I kind of feel like that's possibly where that other spinoff is going to come from. Because I can't see unless it's going to be Kane in Atlanta. I don't see.
I would like that. I would like that. I don't know why I got the balloons, but I would like that. I would like it a lot, actually. But we know that we're getting 2 more Power spinoffs besides Origin. We know that we're getting 2 more Power spinoffs. We do need another present day show because with 4 being canceled, book 2 has been canceled. We have no more present day Power. So we do need. I felt like they were going to revive Tate's show. And I don't know what the other.
Oh God!
I'm probably about to get blasted on. I'm probably about to get blasted on for this, but I don't want to see no more Tommy either. I don't want to see no more Tommy. Tommy showed us through Force that he can't carry a show by himself without Ghost. So if you're going to bring Tommy back into another show, him and Tariq dynamic is just not going to fit for us. It's just not going to fit for us. The only way that we can get Tommy back in another show is if they bring the Ghost character back. I don't see what else they can do with Tommy's character. I don't see what else they can do with Tariq's character. So I guess my last question is, what do you think the new spinoffs are going to be about? Who are they going to be about?
I mean, there was a rumor a while back. It could be just on the back burner, but what old boy was saying that like, oh, they're going to head to Europe, man. You could be going to London. You could go the Top Boy route or something along those lines. And then you could have you can bring in a whole bunch of new characters. Because that's what Mr. Power, he made a video and we briefly spoke about it too. Power desperately needs right now, they need a brand new show with a bunch of brand new characters. Give us something completely new at this point in time. You can have some characters within the universe, like some supporting characters that just like, some familiar faces just to keep people familiarized. But it definitely needs like something fresh and brand new location, new characters. If you want to go internationally, you want to go to London, go there. If you want to go the typical, let's head to the West Coast, let's go to California, like Tommy was originally supposed to go, but they chose to go to Chicago. Go to LA, man. That I feel like, let's go to LA. That's how I feel. Yeah, Power LA.
To back up off this point, I think you're absolutely right. Something present day, maybe something along like the B route. If anybody watches The Boys, when you had this other show that's still kind of completely different characters and have a way to introduce them and really have the story be about them. The other spinoff that I don't know if they'll do it. I think they've been doing such a great job with Haley Kilgore. Maybe we get a little bit more juke on that transition into being a police officer and going to DC and what she's up to. Because I think Juke's character could carry a show without Kanan. I think they put it into her, and that's very fascinating because the one thing, and Rachel will tell you that I've been asking, and we ask each other, all right, when does Juke become the Juke we meet in Original Power? I don't think we're going to get all the way there. I forget which one of you made the point about you want to see that fierce killer, crazy Juke, but I think a spinoff really giving that character some time, and Haley Kilgore just an incredible actor. I think it could work.
Yeah, I think Diana's gonna get a spinoff.
Oh shit!
I said that too.
If she get a spinoff, I won't be watching that. Just like
come on now. So y'all just trying to get everybody a spinoff now?
No, that was the question. We had to try to come up with at least two. You know what I'm saying? So I think she'll get one, and I think Kane will get one. I think Kane will get one just because the ladies just seem like they love Kane. You know what I'm saying? So I think those two would be the one to get one.
Ray, who you want? What are your thoughts on the new spinoffs?
I like the juke of it all. I like that. Get her up in DC. I was really trying to think of another. I don't want a Kane spinoff. I don't want to see Tariq do anything else. I mean, outside of this universe, by all means. I don't know that he could carry it, but if we hold on to Lou still being alive and him going out to California and doing the music thing with maybe some elements of still being in the underworld, I think that could be interesting. Just because it would be more of a music-based show versus the blaze and glory of Southside Jamaica.
Fresh.
I'm with Fish and Mr. Power. We just need a whole new show with whole new characters. That's the only way. Like, I mean, it can still be a spinoff, but it can still be.
We don't want to see no 2-bit.
Like,
hell
yeah,
nah.
we want to see no damn 2-bit.
When he stopped fucking on Courtney Kemp, that was the end of him.
Yeah,
when he stopped fucking on her, that was it for him.
Yeah,
no more.
Oh shit!
That was it. What y'all laughing for? Y'all say it ain't so. Y'all laughing about? What
she was giving up that box.
Right. When he stopped tapping on that box, that was it for him. He got written off.
I feel like
no more 2-bit.
Yeah. I just feel like it has to be.
And Courtney Kemp been over at Netflix for 17 years and we ain't seen the show yet. What's going on?
Shoot, possibly
She got a little power check and she don't it hit out.
Could be Mexico. I don't know.
She living off the power residuals.
Yeah, she got that power check. That's it. She don't need that Netflix money.
She just got some shit greenlit recently, so she got some action. Man, she got her voice coming back.
Man, I'm ready. Oh yeah, that's right. You got Sax coming back for a show that she's doing over there on Netflix.
Oh, yeah. I seen that.
Yeah, I seen some videos about that.
So
if she ain't bringing back Ghost, I ain't watching it.
Now that you said that, and I could be just jumping out there. This goes back to your Tate theory retro spinoff. Could be him and Method Man's character.
Yeah.
As far as a spinoff.
Davis. Okay.
Yeah, David. Because both of them was dirty. So, and we saw their last interaction in book 2, as far as everything that transpired. So, but I still just feel like the next spinoff it's gonna be Europe because we saw it too much in book 2 where we saw all these overseas characters, and we've been saying it since the OG Power. All of these overseas characters from Cristobal to
Yeah, but they shouldn't have killed Noma if they were gonna do that.
I mean, you still could, and just like it could be somebody over Noma we haven't met yet
because of her brother. The brother.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because we saw him meeting with Tariq at the end.
Man, fuck Tariq.
Girl, that nigga could die in the first episode of the next show.
All right, Jack. What's your thoughts on the spinoff?
I definitely would like to see some new characters, a new show, a new city, a new plot, a new everything. To be honest. instead of the continuity of spinning the origins. I definitely would like to see it. But if I had to spin one, then it'd have to be Juke. Like if by him saying, by Rich saying Juke, I think that'd be dope. Tate, I don't want to see that. Even though political corruption is dope in an aspect, but I don't think it necessarily can carry a show. I mean, at that point, we're looking at what was that? I can't remember. I can't remember that show. Oh, girl, I'm driving. I got a brain fart. But I don't want to see the political corruption thing.
You talking about Kerry Washington?
Yeah, with Kerry Washington.
Oh, scandal.
Yeah. I think that's what we bring it into that, except for it's gonna be on Stars. So I don't want to see that. We kind of know how that goes. I would like to see something different in the aspect of it. You could put a little bit of drugs in there, you get a little bit of, as people get situated, different types of now it's syrup and pills and stuff like that. You could just introduce a whole new different dynamic and just wipe the slate clean and introduce a whole new different power and to see how it takes off.
I agree with that. I would love to see a new show with new characters, but would it be power to us if it didn't have a character that we were familiar with?
Right. Has with cameos for sure. Yeah, has with cameos because at some point it could all intertwine, especially if they're larger than life kingpins. If they got all these type of connections, then yeah, you should definitely have these cameos in it. Kind of like
what? They could actually keep Origins going for a minute if they did it this way. Instead of giving us 5 seasons of Kanan and Ghost and Tommy, to me, we only need a season of that. Or 2 at best. If they did Power Origins because they call the show Power Origins and they gave us origin stories or backstories on other characters in different seasons, like let's say for instance they gave us season 2 up to season 2, 1 and 2 of Kanan, Ghost, and Tommy, and after that that's a wrap. Season 3, maybe we get Monet's story a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe season 3 we get other characters from the other Power Universe verse origins. Like I would rather see origins from other characters instead of a whole show sitting around just. I mean, we've spent 5 seasons with Kanan,
but
plus 3 or 4 seasons with him in OG. We don't need that much of Kanan. We need more characters. We need more characters' backstory in the Power Universe. Let Origins be the platform where they did everyone's backstories, just different seasons.
What's good about the Origins thing is that we kind of get to touch up on all the other characters that we have question marks about, right? Like we got questions about Katie,
Angela,
you know what I'm saying? About Tommy grew up the way that he grew up. Like you got to be like it's questionable, right? Like Tommy is the only person who you see a different demographic, that is in power, moving the way that he moving. So you kind of got to ask yourself, like, dude, how was you raised up with Katie, and everything else going on with his father being a part of the mob and all types of stuff. So you do kind of get to close some of those doors, which is good and gorgeous, but you definitely need something different in order for it to progress further than what it is, or it's going to only run so far.
I agree. All right, y'all, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. But first of all, we would like to thank everyone for joining us on the panel tonight. You guys have been great. We have really enjoyed the conversation with you guys. One by one, why don't y'all go ahead and plug y'all channels and plug y'all social medias and tell all of the viewers how to find you guys. Ready, set, go.
Y'all can find me at Mr. Power Universe on Instagram, IG, YouTube, whatever. You Google me, you're gonna see me pop up, man. Let's get it.
You can find me on any and all social medias: YouTube at Fishflix Reviews, TikTok, same thing, Fishflix Reviews, Instagram, k.fishflix, where we talk all things movies, reviews, and power, of course. And if y'all want to debate me or talk any type of film, whether you liked it or loved it, we welcome that discussion.
You can find me on Instagram at Ray5AsYP, and we got y'all pod.
Yep, you can follow us at the Culture Garden Podcast on Instagram as well as YouTube. Fish, we're gonna take you up on that, man. We got to have to holler at you to talk about a movie one day on the pod. So yeah.
All right, everybody. You can just Google Jay Sproo, JAESPROO, and everything will pop up on me for movies, music, sports, and life. Currently, my YouTube channel is sitting at 1,400 1,400. How do you say it? Basically, I need 200 more subscribers to be at 1,500. So, yeah, anybody that subscribes today, I would certainly appreciate it, so I can get over the hump to that 1,500 number for my subscribers.
And as always, we appreciate everyone hanging out with us on this good Sunday evening. You can always find us here. Make sure y'all hit that like button, share the video out on your way out. Make sure y'all subscribe to all the channels around here. The TSF network is continuing to grow. And so hopefully this won't be our first and last discussion with these great content creators. We really appreciate you guys taking the time out and hanging out with us and our fam. And man, so many discussions to have regarding the Power Universe. We look forward to what season 5 will bring us and what the next shows will be. We appreciate y'all being here. Fellas, y'all got anything? Jack, Fresh?
I just want to say to everybody, thank y'all for coming out, man, and spending some time with us, getting to know us, man. We really appreciate it.
Most definitely. I appreciate everybody on the panel that came out and showed support, as well as we show support to y'all. So I most definitely appreciate it.
All right, y'all. We will see y'all in the next video.
Salute.